I'm Yoshi Lomax, superstar attorney at law and fugitive.
So, you're the famous Yoshi Lomax.
Probably more infamous. I'm on the run from the federal government for crimes that I didn't commit.
Gentlemen, I'm Deputy U.S. Marshal Sharon Starr. I'll be taking things from here.
Not to mention being on the hit list of at least 3 of Miami's major crime bosses.
I wanted to apologize in person for leaving so abruptly last night.
Welcome back.
That's Vladimir Kuznetsov, a Russian crime boss. He's been a suspect in over a dozen missing person cases.
I mean, I didn't get here to be this successful for doing things the American way.
I need a list of the jury for my case with Hanshu.
Oh, really? What's that worth to you? Oh, my God, you have such a...
Mr. Santana is to be released upon processing.
So what do you know about Sheldon Chisholm?
What do you want to know about him?
I really need to know if you're going to take my case. I don't have time to play, Miss Lomax.
Money is not a problem. You know anything about his case?
It's being handled by agents in my field office.
I've learned that in this game of life, in order to win,
Ready to dance?
you gotta play dirty. You might look at me and see a beautiful, confident, successful woman.
Congratulations, counselor. Yet another win.
But underneath, I'm flawed. I'm broken. And I'm scared. So I have no choice but to run until I can find a way to clear my name.
Miss Lomax is now considered a fugitive of the United States. Catching fugitives is my business, which makes her my suspect. You and your associates are relieved.
Look. She killed one of our own.
But I will not give up.
All right, people, listen up. Get a picture of Miss Lomax out there so the public knows what she looks like.
I will not give in.
Okay. People, we got a game plan. Let's break and execute.
I will not get caught.
Time to go hunt.
Real Talk.
Hey, I'm Gina Lou, and you're listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
Hey, what's up? It's Logan Browning, and you're listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
Real Talk.
Hi, this is Alana De La Garza, and you're listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
Hi, I'm Diane Franklin from Better Off Dead and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures. You're listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
Hi, this is Monique Dupree, and you are watching Real Talk with the Director on Blog Talk Radio.
Hey, I'm Stormy Maya, and you are listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
It's Vicky Judy, Orange is the New Black, and I'm here with Real Talk.
Yo, what up? This is Jay Ellis, and you're watching Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio. Keep it locked.
Hi, I'm Frida Parks, and you're listening to Real Talk Radio with the Director. Hey, I'm Issa Rae, and you're watching Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
And nothing less. What's going on? Welcome back to another edition of Real Talk with the Director and the Jedi Council. I'm the Director. We'll be with you for the next 120 minutes or so. And Real Talk is brought to you each and every Monday by B2S Media. We broadcast live via the World Wide Web. Via the World Wide Web on YouTube, which is the IE Network on YouTube. We also broadcast on Twitter via Periscope, and we're coming to you live on Facebook, the social network itself, Facebook. Face, not face. Facebook. I can't talk today, people. Welcome back either way. It's the 19th of April. Birthday shout out to my oldest daughter. I got a baby daughter too. So my firstborn, my oldest, the first princess of the castle, now a queen of her own castle. Shout out to Alexis, my oldest. She just turned. What did she turn? See, I don't forget. When you get old, you start forgetting their ages. I want to say 31. Yeah, she just did that on a few days ago. So, like Saturday. Happy birthday. Another birthday shout out to my niece, who grew up with us, my brother's daughter, Val, aka DJ Stitch. Yeah, Val, she turned 32 on the 13th. So big up to them. Happy birthday and all of that. Also, so that's as we talk about life. Unfortunately, we got to talk about death. And we want to give a rest in peace shout out to Black Rob. Condolences to the family and friends of Black Rob, of the rapper. Black Rob passed away due to complications with his kidney functions and things of that nature. And he passed away the other day. So unfortunately, this is just our hip hop people, man. If you're a person like myself who loves hip hop, who's been love hip hop for years, since as far as I can remember, you remember, regardless of the fact, you always have those artists that has those memorable moments or memorable songs. And like Whoa, or it was just called Whoa. That was Whoa. That's all I can say. It's a memorable song in hip hop. It's definitely up there with like some of the best hip hop songs. It seems like it. You like why he's just saying whoa, but it's not just him saying the word whoa. It's all of the context behind it. The New York cats. They've always New York cats. We always find a way to take words and they mean. You could say like the same word and it means a lot of different things. So I mean, that's just how it is. It's just like the Italians would forget about it. They say forgot about it. And it means a lot of things. You saw Donnie Brasco, right? Yeah, forget about it. Forget about it. It could mean a lot of things. So, yeah. So that's what he was saying. He's like, when you see something ill, that's whoa. So, I mean, I really enjoyed watching him perform. Him also, some of the other joints he was on with Diddy and him too, man. It was just, he was that dude, man. So, rest in peace to Black Rob, man. Just right after we lost DMX. DMX, I don't even know if is DMX even put to rest yet. I don't think he was when Black Rob passed. So, man, this is something else, man. Hip hop. So, anyhow, today we're going to talk a couple things. We got a few things to talk about. I've been seeing this petition going around, and I'm telling you, I'm like, look, don't try to be like hashtag release the Snyder Cut, okay? You got the people that started, Marvel fans started a petition to recast T'Challa. Right? Now, there's a couple things. When I was trying to read up on this petition and some of the things that the guy's saying, and people are like, oh, you can't get rid of T'Challa. He's got so much more story, which he does. I agree. But when I'm trying to break down the context of it, people seem to think, and I wanted to address this for this reason. People seem to think that Kevin Feige, the president of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he confirmed several months ago that they will not be recasting T'Challa, recasting Chadwick Boseman, or using Chadwick Boseman in CGI for Black Panther 2. Key phrases right there, key words for Black Panther 2. I don't understand why people cannot get this through their heads. They just maybe to me it seems like they're just looking for something to complain about, like we do sometimes. But they're sitting here and they're like, they're all typing, yeah, recast T'Challa, recast T'Challa, recast T'Challa, recast. I'm just like, yo, the man said they're not recasting him for this movie. He never said that he's not ever recasting T'Challa. He never said that. He would be a fool to say that. And I think Marvel has earned our trust that they're going to make the right decisions. If you think that Marvel is not going to recast T'Challa at some point, you don't know anything about comic book movies. You don't know anything about the business. I'm sorry. I'm calling you out. Anybody who thinks that T'Challa, the character, is not going to eventually be recast by Marvel, you are out of your mind. You're living in a dream world. See, what you want to do is you guys want to just complain. Now, this is what's going to happen. If they were to listen to these people and go out and rush and recast T'Challa, then it's a person who I feel bad for that person that gets recast, because he has some big shoes to fill with Chadwick Boseman. And not only that, if he could be even pretty good. But we know, come on, people. We know we're going to be comparing him, going to be judging him. Oh, no. It's like I hear people complaining that he's not recast for Black Panther 2, but those same people that are complaining are going to complain if you rush it and put somebody in there that isn't doing the job right, or he's doing okay. But Chadwick has set the bar so high. Do you really want okay? And I challenge anybody again. People was in these groups that I've been in, Black Films Rock, and all these other groups that I'm in on Facebook. They always seem to have something to say. But come on the panel. Tell me right now, who is an actor of Chadwick Boseman caliber that could step in and play T'Challa right now? Don't worry, I'll wait. I'm saying of Chadwick Boseman caliber, his acting, his physical, the agility that, knowing the martial arts that he knew, that helps with the role. The fact that he had that accent that was actually a created, made up accent, African accent, Wakandan accent that they kind of made up by crossing a couple different accents and stuff like that. Nailed it. Show me somebody. I can't find anybody right now. It probably would have to be a new face. Because any of these guys, don't come to me with no John David Washington. Do not come to me with him. Please. Please. He has proved nothing, in my opinion. He's a good actor. Okay? He's a good actor. But he has not proved. Let's not forget, by the time they cast Chadwick Boseman and we've seen him the first time, this man had played iconic characters already. Iconic characters, and he did a damn good job playing them. This man was reached, he was a special kind of special. People reached out to him. I think it was Thurgood Marshall's son or kid reached out to Chadwick Boseman and asked him to play Thurgood Marshall. Because he even said, I mean, Thurgood Marshall's more lighter than me. Like, I don't look like him. But they're like, we want you because you are just going to bring the real, you're a good actor, blah, 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 blah. So he did it. That's one of the reasons why he did it. He talked about it in an interview, I think, with Larry King. But my point is this. I post this stuff in the room all the time, and this feed is going on in that group. People always want to talk about recast T'Challa. I'm here to tell you right now, recasting T'Challa right now for Black Panther 2 is a mistake. And if they do it, they're going to pay for it. That's why they're not going to do it. Because they're not Warner Brothers. They're not DC. They're Marvel. They're going to do the right thing. They're going to not make the wrong decision. They're not going to cut up the Snyder cut and not put it in the theaters and replace them with another director. They're not going to do that. They're not going to go ahead and rush and recast T'Challa and recast him with somebody who cannot fill the shoes of Chadwick Boseman. They're not Warner Brothers. They're not DC. They are Marvel. They are Disney. They are not going to make the wrong decision. And I believe, people, for y'all ranting and raving about, please, recast T'Challa. I believe Marvel has earned our trust. You think? 10 years of movies? 10 years of movies and all this stuff? They've earned our trust. So I believe you guys got to kind of put your trust in Ryan Coogler. They're going with the Shuri storyline, in my opinion. I believe that's what they're going to do. And that's one other thing I want to do because, got my guests. We're going to bring them on. I'm going to bring in my Jedi Council. Matter of fact, let me bring Ralph in now. Ralph, thanks for joining us.
What's up, everybody?
I just want to say this one thing because we have our guests backstage, but it is with the whole recast T'Challa petition, right? I hear another thing I hear from these cats, like, why are you people why are you men so insecure? You're so tired of, I'm so tired of the women, this whole woman power thing and blah, blah. And I'm like, yo, you acting like Shuri, like that storyline didn't happen in the comics. You're acting like it never happened. It's like, no, we don't want to see that. And I'm like, yo, what's going on with you, man? I'm like, the women in these shows kick ass. Did we just not see on the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, the Dora Milaje came in there and whooped ass? They had one of the best scenes in the whole series.
Nope, you can't. Because I'm going to say because this is the argument that I constantly keep telling you and Kev about. You guys are coming from that you saw it in the comic books. You're comic book fans, but the average Joe Blow don't know none of that stuff. They know Wonder Woman. Right? They might have known Catwoman, and they might know, and even before, and actually, I must stick with those two because until Iron Man came out, most people never heard of most average moviegoers never heard of Black Widow. So you can't. So for that reason alone, and I think that is the reason, is that you are basing because of the fact that you're familiar with the comic books themselves, whereas the average Joe Blow isn't. So for you say, well, this is just like the natural evolution. It's no problem. But for everybody, say, wait a minute, how you just gonna not bring back T'Challa and jump right over him, right?
They're not jumping over him. I mean, the thing is, but this is what I'm trying to tell you. The thing is this. Everyone's talking about recasting T'Challa. All right, Kevin Feige said they're not recasting him for Black Panther 2, period. So this petition is a moot point. Because
no, it's not.
And yes, it is. Because, like I said, this is not DC. This is not Warner Brothers. This is Marvel. They're not going to listen.
I'm going to tell you why, right? If they are not, if we just go with what you just said, that well, if you listen to me say we're not going to cast T'Challa for Black Panther 2, but that kind of leaves whatever happens for it something different to the average moviegoers. And you can look at this: whenever an actor dies during the role, right? It's very rare that they recast that. Let me rephrase it. If they recast them, it's into the next sequel. I can't think of very few actors who have passed away and they recasted somebody else to play that role. I mean, Joker is something completely different. That
was completely different. Years later,
but to sit there and say to have the sequel coming and the actor himself or herself passed away, and you are sitting there saying we are not going to recast that role for the next sequel. The average moviegoer would think that you are not going to recast them at all.
All they have to do is do a little bit of, as Charlemagne says, do your Googles, do a little bit of Googles. And you'll be able to find out. I get what you're saying. Speaking for those people, but all you got to do is a little bit of Google.
But just what you just said there, you can't yourself. Can you actually name a role where the actor himself died or him or herself passed away, and they did not recast that role in the next sequel, and then they did another sequel, and then they brought that character back?
What do you mean? I mean, like we said, Heath Ledger. That was a different,
That's
Joker's
a
different movie. Well, not really a different story, different movie, but
it's a different. That's
but I mean, the point is this though. All right, and we're gonna table this and get back to it because we want to bring our guest on. But the thing is this. Well, then I ask you the same question that I ask everybody in the room. Give me somebody who's going to do it. Who is going to do it right now? And remember this too, Ralph. They already started pre-production on this thing. Even when Chadwick had passed, they had already started writing the script. Script was almost done. The pre-production of this thing was done. So it's almost like he died during the movie, even though they didn't start shooting yet. It's too late to replace somebody, right? To replace him right now.
You're absolutely right. But to answer that question, right this second, until we actually see a Black Panther 2 or get closer to it come out, I can't answer questions because now me personally, I would think that this would be a role that's tailor-made for Wesley Snipes. But that's only if
he's too old now.
If you time jump the character.
But if you time jump, then you got to get rid of all of the people you got now. If you time jump them, you're gonna have to get rid of the whole cast that you have now. The mother will be dead because they're bringing her back.
No, she wouldn't.
Yeah, she would. Wesley Snipes is old, dude. I mean, he's way older now. It's not gonna pass for the age that T'Challa was when we last saw him. If you time jump him, you're gonna be time jumping him 10, 20 years.
But that's what it says. So right this second.
We'll table it. We'll table this and come back.
Like I said, but right this second, I can't give you an answer for that. Now you're very right.
No, you're not. I mean, yeah, I'm just saying, like the actors right now, I can't think of none that's on that caliber.
I can't either. So. I can't either because it certainly wouldn't be that guy from Bridgerton. I mean,
that was a rumor.
No.
That's not gonna happen.
No.
So anyway, we got our guests backstage. Next guest, now people, if you've seen, every time we start this show, we Playing Dirty trailer. So if you've seen the Playing Dirty trailer, which I know you have because we play it every time we start the show, and you wonder, wow, that looks really good. Yeah, how did that look so good? Well, one of the gentlemen that I'm bringing on, one of my guests tonight, he's one of the people behind the look of Playing Dirty. I had the pleasure to work with him on that. He's a filmmaker himself, and I'm bringing on him with his partner, who is also a filmmaker and an actor, whichever way you want to go it. She's a female actor or actress, whichever way you want to say it, but I'll go with it. So they have a film series that I say we because I kind of, I'm blessed enough to be working on it with them for the second portion of it. They have a film that they did together, and it's now become a film series called Insects. And I don't have the trailer. I do have the film, and I ain't gonna show the whole film, but I just want to show a piece of the very beginning, just to give you, a little taste, and then we're gonna bring them on. So let me just cue that up right there. Okay. Let me try to bring the volume up a little bit. Can you hear the audio?
Yeah, I can hear it. It sounds like someone playing a harp or something.
Okay.
Hello. Come on, Tay. You gonna talk to me on what I know is you. Taya. Taya.
That's all you're getting. That's all I'm giving you. So I'm not giving nothing else away. Let me bring on the two people that's responsible for Insects. Oh, joining me is my boy Devon Smith in the building.
What's up, my brother?
And of course, I'm good, man. I'm good. And of course, let me bring in your partner in crime here, Princess Bays in the building. What's up?
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. You know what I mean? So listen, I didn't want to give away too much of the film, so I just wanted to show.
Yeah, you gave away a whole lot, man. Come on, man. What are we gonna talk about now? You showed everything.
I just showed the whole thing.
She was crying. You told the whole story.
She's crying, yeah. So people gonna be like, wait a minute, what's she crying for? Why is she crying? So
that's what women do.
That's what women do, right? They cry. So give us a broad. Give us a broad idea of what the film's about. Why, or Princess, why was she crying, or you playing her? Why was she crying in that scene? Give me a broad overview.
Without giving away the TT. She was crying in that scene. Her name is Taya. She was crying in that scene because she had realized that the relationship was over, that she had to end it. But she didn't really want it to be over. When you're in that stage where you're like, I know this is best for me, but I kind of still want to be there a little bit. And so, she was just coming to grips with her reality.
Nice. Now, Devon, you directed the film, yes?
Yeah.
You guys wrote it together?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. And I'm gonna ask. I want you to share what made you come up with it, but it's gonna be hard because I want you to give away the full. I want you to give away the full storyline here.
Well,
but we'll say this before you explain whatever you're gonna explain. Like I said, this film it clocks at what, 13 minutes
13
and some
minutes,
change?
yeah.
Yeah. So the reaction that people, I know you guys did a couple of festivals, did a festival run and stuff like that. Bless you.
Thank
Bless
you.
you.
My
Oh,
allergies
rapid.
are raging. It's
She had
so
the-
bad.
So yeah, you guys did a little festival run, right, with this one?
Yeah.
We did.
Okay. Heard you guys got some good reviews. Good. Actually, I know y'all were in one festival that I was in too, and people were talking about it in that one, in the Long Island International Film Expo. So people love it. And then me and you were talking, Devon, and we was, I was like, yo, you really should make this a film series,
Yeah.
because it's, be that it is a short. And although there's, the market now is really open on the internet too for shorts, and there's actual sites that only do shorts and they sell them and everything, right? People are like making money doing short films.
Yeah.
But I was like not leaving it at that short because it was such a good idea. It came out so well. It had a good response. Let's do it as a film series. So we got together and started writing a part 2, so to speak. Like another. It's kind of like becoming this, if you want to say, Black Mirror type of
Black Mirror, yep.
Yeah, I mean, of series where it has, talk about provocative stories and about love and betrayals and this and sex and whatever, and it kind of comes together, right? And but with this one here, this is where it all started. So try to give me the somewhat idea of why you even wrote this film.
I mean, initially, right, I was just thinking like I was doing mostly music videos, and I was feeling like I wanted to do something to challenge myself to tell a narrative. I was thinking about it for a while, but it didn't make sense to me until I did a music video and I casted Princess in the music video. So once I saw Princess talent, I was like, yo, maybe I should use Princess. I feel like with her talent and what I'm able to do, if we could come together and do a film, I think it would work. So I remember calling her probably, I don't even remember what time, maybe like 2:30 in the morning or something like that, Princess.
Yeah, it definitely was. I was coming home from a bashment.
Yeah. So, the idea, I don't think I even knew what time it was. I just had the idea and I'm like, yo, yeah, P. Like it all made sense because I remember my cousin Fashion called me maybe the day before and we was watching back he was watching back the Kevin Lloyd video and he was like, yo, the video is tough, but that actor, that girl, she's good. I was like, yo, I was thinking the same thing. So I hit Princess up. I told her the concept that I had, and she fell in love with the concept. I had most of it written already, and then she came in and she just brought that female voice to it. She just brought her spice, her vibe to it. We sat down for days at a time, not even writing anything, just talking about relationships, different perspective from a man perspective versus a woman perspective when they're in a relationship. And we just discussed a whole bunch of ideas and we took all those ideas and we just kind of put it in the film, and it became one of those films that people couldn't stop talking about.
People keep talking about. Well, that's what I'm saying. I thought that was a really unique approach, and I think it's the right approach anyway to really, before you start putting quote unquote pen to paper or fingers to type to a keyboard, whatever, to really just talk about the concept and the theme as opposed to just going ahead and start writing. And you said like you guys just took days just talking about relationships, period, because you knew that this film is built around a relationship, what I mean? So getting the perspective from each side, I think that's a great way to go about, how I guess that's what you guys came out, how you came out with what you came out with. Now, Princess, you he called you at 2:30 in the morning, you came home from the bashment. So now have you so you helped write with this, y'all came together with it. Have you done any writing before in film or anything like that?
Not in film, no. I was more into like, poetry and stuff. Like I always had a way with words. Like in college, people used to pay me to write their papers and stuff. Yeah, and like writing short stories since I was little, like since I was a kid. That was just kind of like my outlet, but never a film. So it was just, it's kind of like dope because he was just like, yo, let's make a film. And I was like, all right. So who would know, that it would end up, turning out like that. So now we're in festivals with other people who have like gone to school for filmmaking, and we're sitting there like, we just kind of randomly did this,
Yeah.
But I'm grateful, because awesome. I ended up falling in love with it and realized that this is like my path. So,
Nice.
Thanks, Devon.
Anytime.
Was this your first film or
like being in?
Yeah.
Like acting? No.
Okay.
No, I've done other like independent projects.
Yeah.
Right. Correct.
Okay.
First time being
Because I know
behind
I've seen you out there doing your thing, and it's a whole nother. But it is another animal just being like acting in a film, like from someone else's vision, and acting in a film that's from you guys' vision. It's different. It's different. It's not the same.
I was a baby to this thing because I remember when we started casting, like we rented out a spot in the city, and Princess was like, "Well, how do you want me to bring them in? How you want to do it?" I'm like, "I don't know. This is my first time. You know what I mean? I didn't know anything. So it was.
You should have called me, brother. You should have called me. But you got it done. That's all.
Yeah, it was an experience, man, and we went through a lot of trials and errors. We learned a lot about filmmaking from just doing that film, because we made a lot of mistakes, but we figured out how to be creative and bring the story together, because there was other parts that we wanted to shoot that we didn't get to shoot, and we had to figure out how we could tell the story without those parts, and we just got creative with it, and whatever that formula that developed just from I guess desperation or not having everything fit in a perfect box it worked. So that's the formula we're trying to keep at over and over, you know what I mean? When it comes to this insect series, because we feel like that works.
No, I agree with you there. I mean, well, the whole thing is a lot of times when you are when it doesn't work out, you always face challenges, right? When you do films, right? Every film, for everybody who knows who does film, there are always challenges. But what's the great thing about challenges? Challenges force creativity. Right. It forces creativity. So you're like, okay, I have to shoot this. We can't get it shot the way we want to.
Yeah.
What can we do to make it just as dope or better? Right. And those challenges force your creativity. So that's what's up. But it looks great. You guys did a really good job on it. That's the first thing everyone talks about. As a matter of fact, this was the film that sold Kiki Swenson
for playing dirty,
for playing dirty, because she was like, "Oh, this looks great," And I was like, "Yeah, man." And up until that point, you and I, we haven't worked together yet doing a film.
Yeah, because I remember we'd always talk about that relationship that you had with Kiki, and you wanted to do something with her, and I know that you presented my work, but I think at that time most of the work was music videos. So Insects just came at the perfect time, and that was like the selling point. Like, oh, he could really shoot a film.
Yeah, he could really.
So thank you, Princess, because that helped put a couple bucks in my pocket. After Insects, I definitely got hired to do a lot more films than I was getting. I wasn't getting hired for none prior to Insects. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's good. I mean, and you did it the right way. You guys, you sat down, you put it together yourself. And that's what we're about here on Real Talk, man. You know what I'm saying?
And funny enough, I just spoke to Kiki like an hour ago.
Really?
We're looking at
really.
When we're looking at team up on the next project.
Yeah, planning a new joint.
Tomorrow she should be sending me some stuff, and you already know.
Yeah.
I'm pitching P for the lead right now.
Oh yeah,
nice. She's like, oh really?
I didn't even know.
Yo, that's what I'm talking about. We just found that. You just found out right here on the show.
Yeah.
You heard it first.
Well, we know Kiki Swenson, man.
Exclusive.
You know it's gonna be excited with Kiki because she just writes really crazy. Awesome. Her stories are really good. When we did Playing Dirty, that was our first time working together on a set. And from that point on, we just started clicking, man. I thought everybody didn't realize, no one could realize that it was the first time we ever worked together.
Right.
Because everything was flowing, and then people were like, "Yo, oh, this your team?" I'm like,
"Yeah,
yeah, they are." You know, so that's what's up, man. So now, going forward with this new insects project that we're working on together, subtitled Mirror, and you know, I can't wait, you know, to get started on this because it's just so different. You know, we had a few weeks ago, I had Alice on here. She was on for a different topic. She was talking about just we were talking about films. We wanted to talk to actors that played like toxic, or not even really toxic roles, but just like roles that were like bad energy. Like if you ever played, you know, a killer or something like that. Because Alice has also played like a psychopath or something like that in some other film, and she talked about it. But yeah, she's super excited about getting started, just like all of us. I just think going forward, we're going to really, really kill this. Princess, I love how you brought, you know, the character that you're playing in to life. You're bringing some real stuff to life, man. I'm really, really loving it. But how do you see, Devon? How do you see Insects, the series, really evolving going forward?
I don't even really try to think too deep. I kind of want to get the second one. Try to focus all my attention on the second one, but I do feel like, you know, every day I talk to different people that's trying to do series, and 99% of the time the ideas are the same. You know what I'm saying? It's either something with violence or selling drugs, or it's just straight about relationships and things like that. So like this series that we're coming with, it's so different because it takes you on such a journey, and there's so much twists and turns, and it involves so many different elements that, yeah, I'm really excited about it. Not only because it's ours, but I just think it's a great idea, and I'm not sure, other than Black Mirrors that kind of like twist your mind and make you think about different things. I don't see too many series out there that's like this series, and just the way we're going about doing it, just the organicness of it, and how all the characters are kind of like just coming together and bringing it and we keep on building on it, because I know me and you, we had a shell of what we wanted to do. We spoke about it, you wrote, and then I brought my boy Eno in on Eno. We started having discussions, and Eno mind always go all over the place, and then I couldn't understand what he was saying at first, and then something clicked. And then we got another twist and another turn in it, and sent it back to you, came with another twist and another turn and different elements. And now that we're talking to the actors and they're now taking on the characters, they're asking questions that's forcing us to now add different elements and expand on characters. So I just love how that's being built. And the dope thing about it is that's kind of how me and Princess built the first one.
That's what's cool. That's what I was thinking when you just said that earlier, about how the conversations and stuff like that.
Right, the conversations, you know, and then a lot of the stuff that we sat down and said, well, maybe we should do this because of this reason. And then once people watched the film, they actually picked up on some of the things that weren't necessarily written, but these are the things that we spoke about. We created backstories that you didn't see, but then the audience was able to understand that backstory also. So it was incredible because none of that was shown visually, but people had it in their subconscious.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
For all you learners out there, that's called subtext. It's called subtext.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what it is. So, now, how long did it take y'all to shoot the first Insects?
I think it probably was like a 4-day shoot.
Okay.
And only 4 days because I think one of the scenes we had to shoot over the restaurant scene. Yeah, because that first day we tried to do too much in one day and we rushed the scene and we didn't get the best out of we just didn't do our best, so we wanted to shoot that again. So I think it took altogether about 4 days to shoot.
Okay. So but you said you did a reshoot one day.
Yeah.
So
really
it was initially a long weekend.
Yeah.
And then we went back for another day.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's cool. I mean, now the experience of it. I mean, you guys, how did you talked about casting real quick? So you at first you had no idea how to do it. You obviously pulled it together. How did you end up getting finding the people that you did for the roles, like the main role and all of them really?
Well, I mean, P was already cast because I
Right.
already know
She
Princess
was
was
already
going
in,
to
right?
do the lead. And then we did the casting, and from the casting, remind me if I'm wrong, P, we got Omar. We got Omar from the casting.
We had a bunch of people audition for that lead role. But Omar I knew from like a friend, like I knew him. And so I don't know. I think I reached out to him directly because maybe I had his email address or something, or maybe I told my friend like, "Hey, I'm doing this film, like, see if he's interested or whatever." And and he came in and he killed it. Actually, Devon was like, "Yeah, he's the one. He's the one. He's definitely the one."
Yeah, because P wanted somebody else because they were big and
because I'm tall. I'm tall.
Yeah,
And I was like, Omar's he's not that much taller than me. And Devon was like, it doesn't
Omar
matter.
had the talent though. Omar had more talent than the other person.
Yeah, yeah, that's where that's where it always comes down to.
Yeah, Omar definitely had the talent, and what was dope about it, like I said, with this insects, everything happens organically because if you pay attention to dialogue, the father spoke about going to Tilden High School, so Tilden is in there because that's the high school that I went to, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
But then Omar,
I do that a lot with my writing.
Omar went to that high school too. I didn't know Omar in Tilden, but I knew his best friend. So like everything was all connected. Me and his best friend went to like public school, junior high school together, you know what I'm saying? So, and he's from the 40s too. A lot of the context is about being from the 40s too. East Flatbush. Okay. So Omar is actually from East Flatbush, so he was perfect for the character.
Yeah, that's too funny. Yeah. Man. Now I'm just popping an image up here on the screen where I'm gonna turn down the volume a little bit. Yeah, so this is the guy we're talking about. So you guys can understand what's going on. So so this scene, I'm not running the audio for it, so you guys can kind of tell me what's kind of happening in this scene. Is this like a memory of hers, or what's happening in this scene? Kind of.
Yeah, this is like a flashback of like good times.
Okay.
And then they're just kind of having this deep conversation where he's talking about his father who wasn't in his life. And I'm talking about, wanting a child and stuff. And so it's just really to give the audience some insight into, how things were when they were good, before everything hit the fan.
Before everything hit the fan, which as we saw her, you knew something was wrong with the relationship in the beginning when you see her on the phone and she don't want to answer. She's like, it looked like she was stalking him for a second. The way she was calling him, and he's like, no, it's you.
She was a little intoxicated.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, that's cool. So y'all found him through that's the only one that you casted through the casting? I know you had the father.
Funny because we did that whole casting, but we had reached out to him separately because I was starting to think, I'm like, who could play this role? And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I know that guy Omar. Like I had met him once or twice before. And then that happened. And then my father, actually, Devon's friend, Christian, who actually like directed a few scenes, he's the one who recommended AC, right?
Yeah, because Christian was originally supposed to direct it, but because of his work schedule, we couldn't, it couldn't line up. So like the actual scene at the kitchen table, Christian directed that scene, and then all the other scenes, I ended up directing because of his work schedule. We couldn't make the schedules line up. So at the end of the we're actually going to share the director credit, but at the end of it, with the amount of scenes that was there, Christian was just like, nah, man, I don't, I felt like there's like 6 scenes and you directed 5 out of 6. So it's like, you should just be the overall director, but so
that was cool of him.
Yeah, AC actually came because of Christian, because he was like, yo, I got an actor that could play the father. He's been in a lot of stuff, and he sent me a bunch of commercials that AC had actually done, and AC had done like a lot of big stuff. So I was just like, I was kind of surprised he wanted to do it, but when I spoke to him, he was like, listen, young man, I just love the story. You know, I love the story, and
that's how you get them, man. That's how you get the familiar faces.
Yep.
You know, because it's like, you know, that when they love that story, man, that's how you get the familiar faces. Now, I'm not playing I'm not playing volume here. I just want
he was recently. What show he was recently?
He is awesome. He is he's really, really good. He's really good.
Yeah, that's what's
and
up.
The funny thing is, they kind of look alike. Him and Princess kind of look alike.
He looks like he could really. He
look like he could be related to you.
Yeah. So and then the final character Mel. As we were writing the script, we thought yo, why not? You need a best friend, because the part of the story that we want to talk about, like to really describe the relationship and how this was a different relationship for Taya, and to really express how she was feeling, was like, yo, we need a best friend. So then I was like, hey, why don't we use your real best friend, which is Melody, and because she's an actress. She's an actress also. So you know,
I gotta say, bro, I've said this to you a million times, but I'm gonna say it on air. This scene drew me in from the beginning because of the look. It looks awesome. It always looked awesome. I'm like, you having these characters here, everything about it, from the way they're framed, from the push-in that you had going there, the color, everything was just popping on, and it's looking great.
Yeah, before I even forget, because sometimes you get into so much, the lighting, that's all Al Rivera. Al Rivera is one of the dopest DP cinematographers, gaffers in the business, with over lighting technician. You know, I couldn't have created the look of Insects without Al Rivera, man. He's a true genius when it comes to lighting. You know what I mean? I was lighting a lot of music videos, but just doing this, I learned so much from Al in terms of lighting and how to create that mood. He's like, hey, Dev, what do you think? Let's try this. So without Al, this look couldn't have been created. In post, I definitely went in and put that color grading touch on it. You know, like every time I talk to Al, and it's like, it's crazy, because the first time I met Al, you know, he was doing a lot of big things, man, and me and him kind of caught a vibe on another set that I hired him for. And he was like, hey, man, I want to work with you. We did our first music video together. And after the first music video, he was like, yo, Dev, man, I think you're dope. I think you're really creative. This is one of the first times I've worked with a director that understood every aspect of filmmaking, from the lighting to the editing to the color grading and everything. And I thought he was just gassing up my head. I'm like, all right, maybe this guy's hustling me, because he just want to keep working. But the narrative never changed over the years. We've worked more and more together, and he's always saying the same thing. He's like, I feel like, you know, some of my best work is the ones that I do with you, because we just have a natural chemistry, and we click, and we get super creative. You hear when the juices start flowing. And it's all up there. The juices are flowing, and then he goes in the zone and he start doing the light. I remember we was doing that hotel scene for Playing Dirty, which is one of the dopest scenes to me. You know,
because the way it was lit.
Yeah, and Al lit it, and I was like, yo, Al, what if we made like everything in the background by the shower blue, and keep everything back there cold, and then everything in the front warm? He was like, hold on, let me try something. And then he goes and he gets his little knife and he starts cutting up gels, and he put it in out the room for a minute. I came back. He was like, what do you think, Dev? I said, oh shit, awesome. I feel like I'm
it was yo, and 2 or 3 awards later. I remember one time we were doing the show. I remember we did this show one time. We were talking about sex scenes, right? And we were talking about, you know, just sex scenes, how to do a good sex scene, and this, that, and the other, and make it, you know, what's good. Does it have to be raunchy? Does it be sexy? Whatever. But we had actors on the panel for that too, and I brought up a clip from that scene. I didn't play the clip. I just had like a screenshot, and then I played a little bit of it. Yo, the actors, before they even talked about the scene, it was like, oh my God, that is lit so nice. That's the first thing they said. It was like, the lighting is great on that. I remember that. I had the actress, she was like, one of the actors on the panels, she said, the lighting is great on it. I had a director here as well, and she said the same thing. She's like, yeah, that lighting is awesome. And I'm like, yeah. And we also had Deb Markowitz here, who was the president of the Long Island International Film Expo. And she was like, that's one of the first things she noticed was the lighting on, especially in that scene, So it's I know for a fact that shit, that was that was fire.
Yeah,
so
speaking of, and I gotta jump in on this. Speaking of sex scenes, it's like that scene in Insects. You know how many people like when we first premiered it, I had some homegirls that came, and after the premiere was done, I walked them out, and me and them was talking. It's like, hey, me and she came with like her sister. She was like, me and my sister is going back and forth. Didn't they really have sex in that scene? Because it seemed so real. They had to have had sex in that scene.
Everyone asked that same thing. They said the same thing with Playing Dirty.
Right.
They was like, oh hell no, they definitely was having sex. I'm like,
the furthest thing from that. The furthest thing.
Yeah. I mean,
but that means both of you did your jobs. Everybody did their jobs and came together, because that's the whole point of a sex scene. Like I was talked about on that show. The point is for it to be, you want it to be hot. You don't want it to, it doesn't need to be raunchy. It's just got to be hot.
It was definitely hot.
Yeah, that's what you need though. That's what you need.
So
and I mean, and when you guys watch the film, the whole sex scene has a whole different dynamic to it when you watch the film as well.
It makes it worse.
It messes up your brain because it's so hot, and then
it's so hot,
then you see something happen. It's like, man, this is not the right moment for this. But then it takes you into a story, and then it's kind of like sick because what's going on and what's playing in her head. And sometimes that happens in relationships too, man. Like, I could be getting it in, and then something else is in the woman's head, like completely opposite of what's going on.
Throws everything off.
You know what I'm saying? Depending on, where her mindset might be, if there was something that was unresolved, you know what I mean? So that scene was crazy. I mean, Insects has definitely created a lot of careers. I feel like it definitely elevated mine. Princess is now a director, writer. She's now an intimacy. What do you call it?
Yeah.
Intimacy
Intimacy coordinator. Yeah.
So intimacy coordinator. Now explain what that is, Princess.
No, let me explain it. People hire her to choreograph sex scenes.
Nice.
So she's almost like a porn director, but the intimacy coordinator is like the proper way.
That's a great name.
But it's not just that. It's not just that. So my boy was like, yo, P, I want you to direct this scene for me. So I'm like, all right, cool. And then as I'm doing research, I started to realize that there is actually a thing called an intimacy coordinator that they have on sets. But for them, it was just me directing the scene, right? But also because the actress, this was her first time doing a sex scene. And so she was super uncomfortable. So part of my job, and this is what intimacy coordinators do, their job is to make sure that the actors are comfortable on set, that guidelines are being fulfilled. When you're doing like a film or whatever, there's a writer that says what they're correct and not making appropriate comments. And in the writer, it will always state, what the actor is comfortable doing, not doing. So the intimacy coordinator is responsible for making sure that that is followed to the T. And so, yes, I did choreograph the sex scene, but it was also me, like, making sure that the actors were comfortable, within the scene and like, because it's tough doing a sex scene,
But what's about this though, and Wes?
Huh?
I'm gonna add things like that to my resume now. So I'm glad P did the research. So I could be like, I'm very good. I'm an intimacy coordinator. And I can now add Insects and Plain Dirty to my list and say, hey, I'm an intimate coordinator.
Well, we should have had her
coordinator. Yeah.
We probably have to have you in for this new one then. Because I mean that's good. And when I'm gonna do a part 2 to my sex scene show, because the sex scene show ended up getting a lot of views and people liked it, right? So I'm gonna bring back another panel of actors, and we're gonna talk and filmmakers, because that's the whole point. Bring actors and filmmakers, and from both perspectives, get what makes a good sex scene. What, how do we do this? And then we talk about technique. We talk about everything, the look, everything. So without spoiling it, but so we don't have to wait till we bring you back. In your opinion, Princess, what makes a good sex scene? It's a coordinator.
I think just rawness, no pun intended.
Right.
But I think you want to draw the viewer in, and again, like it like we mentioned, it's funny because even with insects, in theory, when we were writing, and I was like, yeah, and this is gonna happen, and then we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do that. But then I remember when we were like doing it, I remember Devon being like, yo, less is more. Like, you don't even need to do all of that. So I think the less raunchy it is, the better. Because when it's less raunchy, the viewer is able to be a part of it and actually feel, right?
Nice.
The relationship, or whatever relationship these two people have, right? Like if you're just watching something and it's just raunchy, like if you're watching a porn, like that's it. And when it's over, you turn it off. There's nothing that attaches you to it. So I think that has a lot to do with it. Of course, camera angles plays a big role in how you set the scene up, and the lighting, because you also want to tease a little bit. You don't want everything to just be all out. Like, you want to gradually, be drawn into, what's happening, and really you want to feel like you're there, And I remember our Cherie, our hair and makeup person, she was like, yo, I was standing there and I was like, damn, like I was like, what's going on here? Like, like she was getting hot, just even one of my homegirls, like, I was getting hot watching this. When I was directing the other scene, it's like just certain little nuances, and you realize like this is actually like an art, creating a sex scene.
It is. When we did Playing Dirty, man, we choreographed it. It's funny. I talk about this all the time, Devon. Now that you're on the show, you can hear me. I always joke about this, and I talk about when we edited Playing Dirty. I came up to Atlanta. We were basically like taking shifts. I would sleep, you'd edit. You sleep, I'd edit. Like, we was going back and forth with it. And I was like, yo, I would go to sleep. We were just talking about how editors, directors cuts, editors, and stuff like that. So I'm like, yeah, I went to sleep, and then I woke up, and it's like all my shit was gone. And Devin's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, we didn't need that. We didn't need that. Like what he said. He did the, less is more. He said that again, like less is more. Cause I'm like, yo, because remember the original. First of all,
there was
we cut out a lot. The original
made a point. And people always think I'm the bad one. That I like to overdo it in the shoot and then scale back. Because if I could give you a little tease or something that's raw but flash it real quick, then it got the mind going. They want to see that again, and it actually does more.
Yeah, that was funny. I still laugh to this day because I'm like, yo, the original sex scene was so much. It was longer, and it was like. And then I'm like, and then when he did it, I was like, okay, yeah, this is better. But it's just so funny how that worked out. Less is more, and I agree. Putting together a sex scene is just, to me, it just has to be hot. Like, some of my favorite sex scenes don't even have a lot of doesn't have really any nudity and stuff like that. Like, I remember this movie called The Sea of Love with Al Pacino and damn, what is that girl's name? Can't think of her name right now. But she was there was a scene with them. Their sex scene was up against this wall, but the way they lit it, she was kind of like silhouetted, and it was really dope though. It was hot. It's a hot sex scene. So but you didn't really see any nude. Like, she was nude in the scene, but you didn't really see it because it was like the moonlight shining off of her, and it was silhouette. It was really nice the way they did it. Really dope. So that's one of my favorites, out of the film. So that, it was just that the scene itself, if you see what we shot is like Mother Goose compared to what was written in the book. You know what I'm saying? Like the way, because Kiki Swenson keeps it raw, all the way raw, 100%. And that's one of her things, right? The street literature books are like that, right? So the original scene, and this is a threesome that we had to shoot. The original scene in the book would have never ever made it anywhere except Pornhub.com. That's it. Because I'm just like, because writers, they take that opportunity to just really go in and be so graphic, be so descriptive, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of these people who read these books love them, because it's like it gives you that time to escape to, that's why all of those other books, the 50 Shades and all those books that go, they love those stuff because it gives you an opportunity to in a novel to really just, because everything is in your mind at that point. It's how you imagine it, how they describe it. But we couldn't bring that to the thing, so what we did. But that's cool though.
Yeah, because on film, everything has to happen similar to like in acting, right? It's like you don't make a movement unless it's necessary, right? So it's like everything needs to happen for a reason. And so like even if you look, like I love Power, but sometimes you're looking at some of the sex scenes and it's like this wasn't necessary. This did not push the story forward at all. I mean, for some people, they may just enjoy looking at it, but it's like, why do we just have to see that? You know what I mean? And it's just like, we never want that to happen in a sex scene. Like you want it to be pertinent to the story and no one to question like why it's there,
That's true. That is true. That's a good point you brought up about Power, because especially like some of the stuff, even in the newest one, that latest Power show or whatever with the young kids. And I was just like, to me, I'm like, okay. All right. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I haven't even watched it. I haven't watched
the newest one.
Yeah, I can't respect nobody that kill their father, man.
Yeah.
Not the way he did. Like, if he really like beating on mom or something weird, you know what I mean? But like, I can't respect that, man.
Yeah, he did us some real
Power now, dog.
Yeah, he did us some real shit.
Fire for
that's but you're right. That's what you couldn't watch. It's all good. So I'm about to give y'all's night back to you, but going forward, anything else you got that you're working on, Princess? We know you're working on Mirror with us, but is there anything you got that you in the future that you're working on, or whatever you're doing here, or any intimacy you're gonna be directing?
So I'm working on, I think we're about to just like release Khadijah now, like online. It's been in some festivals, but with COVID, the festival scene has kind of just been a little, weird and crazy. So I think we're gonna just put that out. And I'm right now working on a mini series that Devon is also going to be shooting. Like, we're all going to be working together to shoot. But this is going to be, it's a mini series, so it's going to be like an IGTV series about polyamory.
Oh,
so it's a little different.
I'm sorry, about what?
Polyamory.
A woman that have a bunch of boyfriends.
Yeah.
I know someone that's living that life right now.
Yeah, me too. I know two people that are living that life.
And it's so funny because it's like, people kind of expect that and they think of men when they think of that. And so I think this is just a different perspective. And it's like, now this is a woman. And, I'm really interested to just see and hear people's thoughts because, when a man do something, he's a man. When a woman does it, she's for the streets. So this will be very interesting.
But that's just the person I know. I know a woman that's in a relationship with two guys at the same time.
Yeah.
I was like,
wow. Go ahead, sis.
Yeah, I know one too. She just actually is getting ready to move to Atlanta.
Oh, wow. So it's more common. It's more common.
It's much more common than what people think. So that's a good time. This is a perfect time to tackle that topic because it's actually becoming more popular. Like people are actually trying it. Like people who've never even thought about doing that before in their life. They're like, you know what? Screw it. I'm single. We're gonna try this. You know what I mean? And then that's what it is. So this is a perfect time to tackle that. That's what's up. That's dope. I appreciate y'all joining us, man, and coming on and kicking it with us. Yeah, it's always fun.
Things like this, but you guys made it fun.
Yeah, it's good. And Princess, I'm gonna get you back because we're gonna be doing the second version of the sex scene show that we're gonna be talking about with actors. We're gonna have probably last time I think we had a panel of 5, maybe. We're gonna do that again. We're gonna bring back a couple of actors and directors and talk
intimacy
about intimacy coordinators like yourself.
And me.
I know someone.
Yeah.
She's a I can't think of her name, but she's a stunt woman, and she's been doing that also in the intimacy coordinator on one set. Yeah, I can't think of her name on top of my head, but I do know one person that does that.
Really?
It's actually very necessary.
It's very necessary. I wish I'd had one.
No, you know why it's necessary too? Because just a quick thing. I had I was doing a music video with a colleague of mine, and like certain things I could say to certain women when we playing around because I have a relationship with them. You know what I mean? I know how to talk to them. They won't take it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this person was actually on set and was trying to direct the model, but he was so like raw with what he was saying that it turned her off and messed up her whole vibe. Now, like I could probably say the same thing, but it wouldn't come off the same way because you have a certain relationship. So I could definitely see where it's super important to have somebody that the actors are comfortable with. You know what I mean? Especially even in Princess' case, someone that's been in that same situation. You know, and know what that's like and able to tell her, like, be calm, go over the edge, dial it back, you know, and get her comfortable enough. So I think, you know, we need to talk about that position a lot more. I know I joke about it, but that's something serious. You know, we need that, especially on this new project that we're gonna do. Yeah, we definitely.
Oh yeah. We're gonna have her in there. That's all good. Well, we worked with Alice before doing the sex scene, which was cool.
Yeah, and even with that, Alice was a little bit uncomfortable at first because she was scared about how the edit was gonna come out.
She was scared about how the edit was gonna come out.
Certain little things that she was conscious about and wanted to make sure we captured her in the best light possible. And I think I remember when we did that premiere, I think she spoke to me and she said, "Hey, that came out really nice. I like how you guys did that. It was tasteful. It was, you know, so and I know she said she was very nervous.
She was.
Yeah, she was waiting for that scene to come and she was nervous.
At the festival, she came to me and she was like, Wes, how'd that scene go? I'm like, just what she was like that. And she was like, I think her and like Ernesto, they were like sitting holding hands.
Yeah, because Ernesto too, he definitely want to, even guys that want to make sure they captured in the right way. They don't look, you know what I'm saying? So I think Ernesto was very pleased with how it came out too, you know.
Yeah, they were happy. So now she know we get busy. So she's a little more you know, a little more comfortable this time around. And then but we definitely should have Princess there and we go over it and that's what's up, y'all. But definitely, thanks again for coming on. I will talk to you soon, Devon, because we got some plans.
Thank you.
All right. Respect, Ralph.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night.
All right, cool. Good night.
And there you have it. I see Heaven Hollywood has joined us because we're gonna start going over the what's it called? Mount Rushmore. I think your mic's muted, but when you're ready to talk, Evan Hollywood, you unmute your mic. So that's you know, Devon is that's my man, yo. I mean, obviously,
I haven't seen the scene yet, so I don't know what it looks like.
I sent it to in the room. I put it in there.
No, I never got it.
It's in there, dude. You gotta look for it. It's in the messenger. I put it in there. I said, "Here's playing dirty," So it's the whole thing. Watch it. Yeah, so I put it in the messenger room. So yeah, man. So Devon's that's my dude, man. He's a good dude. He's very good at what he does. Good cinematographer, good director. You know what I mean? So when we work together, it's like magic, man. We really put it out there, man. We do our thing. And when you get on set, you saw how we was flowing on set, Ralph. You know what I mean? You get on set and you just boom, boom, boom. Okay, yo, no, this would probably be better if you do it this way. You know what I'm saying? There's no ego situation. And then just because of the type of people that we both are, he's going to give his opinion. I'm going to give mine. And then, we create that united front. You know what I mean? And just go with it. So it was cool, man. It was fun working with. It's always fun working with him. So anyway, moving on to our Mount Rushmore. So we talked about Mount Rushmore for the sitcom, black sitcom characters, black sitcom female characters, the Mount Rushmore. Now, I have put together my Mount Rushmore. I still have one left. I have somebody that I wanted to put in there, but I'm going to just kind of put mine out there. And then, Ralph, I don't know, did you come up with yours, with your 4, or?
Pretty much. I pretty much have my.
I'm having a little trouble with the 4th, but I pretty much know who I want. But I got 3 already. And here's my 3 Mount Rushmore faces here that I put on here. I went with the character of Claire Huxtable. I think we all agreed that she's grandfathered in.
Yes.
That was it. I did also go with Florence Johnston, the character from the Jeffersons. And I went with Florida Evans from Good Times. Those are the 3 that I have right now. I'm still on the fence about Florida, but I think I'm gonna go with her. And then I don't know, the 4th one, I have an idea of who I want, but I'm just gonna wait and figure that out. We did get some votes in, and there are votes in, and we're gonna announce that as well. Now, Heaven Hollywood, did you come up with your 4?
Yeah.
You did.
I had, of course, Claire Huxtable.
Yeah.
I also had Florida Evans.
Mm-hmm.
I also had Florence
Johnston. Okay.
Florence Johnson.
So we're almost pretty much on the same page with that.
Yeah, my last one, I'm still trying to figure. I'll have it figured out until the next couple of minutes. I'm still debating on.
Everybody's stuck on that.
I didn't want to do Weez. I didn't want to have 2 people from the same show, so that's the only reason why I didn't do Weezy. Because, and then the reason why I picked Florence over Louise Jefferson is because there was certain shows that Louise Jefferson didn't have a lot of roles, didn't have a lot of lines, and the show still flowed as long as Florence was in it. But when Florence left, that show took a hit. It took a hit in comedy. Because between her and George Jefferson going back and forth, then when she was gone or what have you, I believe there was a point in turn as the show went on. I think Florence got another job or something. I think
she got married. Did she get married?
Yeah, married.
She ended up getting married. That's how she ended up leaving. Yeah. I think.
That was
I'm almost sure she got married.
The most comedy on that show was her and George Jefferson going back and forth.
Yeah, going at it.
And
now George and The Neighbor, they went at it too.
Right, George and The Neighbor did too, but it was mostly George and
Willis,
Florence.
the Willis's wife. Yeah.
And
was
then
it Willis?
Willis's wife.
Yeah, Helen.
I've come down. My final one. I'm down between Moesha,
right,
and Whitley Gilbert.
Same here. That's so funny. I was thinking about the same thing. I'm teetering on my number 4 is Whitley Gilbert. It's funny that Joseph Tanner in the room there, he said, "How about Jasmine Guy's character from A Different World?" So you're right on the same page with everyone, Joseph, or at least with us. I'm right there with you on that one. Whitley, yeah, I think she might be my 4th.
See, and my thing is because Debbie Allen had something to do with Different World. Debbie Allen also had, I believe, she was one of the executive producers on Living Single.
She might have been, I don't know.
But the thing is, she created, it was she other she wasn't, but she created the Regine character.
Right.
And she kind of is kind of like a bootleg Whitley. She's kind of like an older Whitley Gilbert type.
Yeah.
Bougie. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like she's just a little, she's like a down to earth Whitley Gilbert.
Yeah.
So I'm I don't know, it's tough because Moesha was Moesha to 2. She was Moesha in both of those shows. From Moesha, and then in the first show that she was in, I don't think her name was Moesha. Well, what was the first show she was in? Thea or something like that. I think.
Thea, I think. Yeah, she was in Thea. Yeah. She was in Thea.
And that spinned her show off. I don't know whether she was Moesha and Thea. She may have been.
No, she wasn't.
No, she was not. She wasn't.
Okay, so that had nothing to do with it. So the Parkers was just a Moesha spinoff.
Yeah, Parkers was spinoff from Moesha. Yeah. So I'm going to screen share real quick, and then we'll get our things, because I'm going to put the people up again. I just want to show everybody out there the list. So we have Claire Huxtable. This is what all the people voted. This is who they had to vote on, and they were allowed to choose 4 different people. So we have Claire Huxtable, Moesha, Joan Clayton from Girlfriends, Louise Jefferson, Hillary Banks, Whitley Gilbert, Denise Huxtable, Sandra Clark from 227, Harriet Winslow, Florida Evans, Florence Johnston, Laura Winslow, Pam James from Martin, Nell from Give Me a Break, Gina from Martin.
I bet you Gina got a bunch of votes.
Nikki Parker, Maxine Shaw, we talked about Living Single, and Tia and Tamara. So that was who everyone had to choose from. Let's see. Let me see what the reviews. Let me see if I can find the results here.
Probably Gina, because most of the people are millennials.
Yeah, well, let's see.
Of course, everyone's going to know Claire Huxtable, but I believe that Gina is probably going to be in there.
Let's see. Okay, so let me just share what the audience is saying here. Give me a second. Can we find it? Can I share it? Where are you? Bar chart. Not the pie chart. I want the pie chart. Bar chart. Okay. Okay. Let's see if we can share it here. So it looks like if I can, I don't want to. Okay, so I'm trying to zoom it in a little bit. You guys can see it though, right? So for Mount Rushmore, they have Claire Huxtable leads all votes. Whitley Gilbert is second.
Yeah.
Florida Evans is third. Tied with Florence Johnston.
There we go. See, that's what we said.
10.9% of it. 10.9% tied with Florida Johnston and Florida Evans. Then you have Louise Jefferson tied with Pam James from Martin.
Right.
Okay, over Gina. Pam. That's what Ralph was saying. He said he likes Pam over Gina.
Pam got the better ass. Sorry. I'm not gonna lie.
Then Denise Huxtable, Maxine Shaw, Moesha, Hillary Banks, Sandra Clark. So at that point, that's just a few votes there. Nikki Parker got 0 votes.
Wow.
Please. She should have got minus votes, not 0, minus.
Damn, bro.
I'm just saying.
0.
Why? Because she said, hey.
She got 0% of the votes. So it looks like what we were coming with was pretty much on the same page. Claire Huxtable, we all grandfathered her in anyway. Whitley Gilbert, which I've been talking about, you've been talking about, they got her second. So according to the audience, she's on Mount Rushmore because she stands second by herself at 12.7%. Yeah. Florida Evans is tied with Florence Johnston.
So those two probably must get in.
They have to get in and tie. That's their 4 right there. Unless we
overrule it, but
right. Unless you want to
doesn't look like it's going to be an overrule.
Right. Unless you want to bump one of them and put in Louise Jefferson, who's at or Pam, because they're both tied as well at 7.3%. So that's what we're looking at right now. So now, Ralph, what was your 4? What did you come up with?
Well, 2 of those I certainly agree with, and that's Claire Huxtable and Florence Johnson. Those 2 I think were always the automatic lock. Now that 3rd position, I'm not going with Florida Evans because of the fact that Florida did not last the entire year of the show, and when she wasn't there, Good Times went down significantly. It relied much more on Jimmy Walker than the rest of the family. So Whitley Gilbert, yeah, I'd put Whitley Gilbert up there as number 3. And because she was the Southern Belle. She was this snooty, stuck-up black girl who was raised in the white community. That now she's in this blackness, and her whole mind changed. And she wasn't the main character. She was a supporting character that got brought into the main character, right? Without Whitley Gilbert and Dwayne Wayne, there was no reason to watch the show. There really wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, Freddie was okay. I like Freddie, and what was the other girl? The other girl that was there, they were okay, but the 2 of them were the core of the show. But for my last person, now see, the last one I have a problem with because I mean, while I do think Pam deserves there, I don't think you can take anything away from Joan Clayton. I think you have to give real consideration to Joan Clayton, but at the same time, because of the time period we live in, I'm giving more that 4th spot to Tasha Mack because Tasha Mack is a symbol of what, and I'm not trying to disrespect anybody out there, but what a lot of women out there strive to be: young, beautiful, powerful, get in the bag, loud, abrasive. Like I got money, and you're just going to bow down and respect me. Tasha Mack is everything that we're looking at people like Cardi B and so on and so on today. That's who she was when she was in on the game. Yeah. So for anybody, I would go with Tasha. It's either I said between Joan Clayton and Tasha Mack, I'm really leaning more toward Tasha Mack for number 4. Right, because I just think that she is the symbol of what a lot of women strive to be. And if y'all don't believe me, just go look on your Twitter. Talking about I'm out here to get this bag. I'm getting this bag. I'm getting this bag. They loud. They abrasive. They push.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from with that. She is kind of like the today. Like when she came out, like Tasha Mack, she was like, she's about money. Like she doesn't need a man for money. She can get her own money. And that is what a lot of the females of today are like. They are kind of patterned after Tasha Mack. But as far, I can't put her on Mount Rushmore over, I can't, even though you bring up a very good point. A lot of people like that are right now pattern their ways after Tasha Mack. Yeah. She was one of the first out there that was talking that, powerful woman stuff.
Bang bang, pow.
Right. Yeah. I definitely agree with that. That being said, I can't put her on Mount Rushmore over those other people. I can't even put her over Moesha. See, the thing about Moesha is that, which a lot of people, the bad part is, a lot of people take their personal feelings for Brandy the person, and they withhold their votes. Because Brandy got a lot of hate. Like, not a lot of people like Brandy as Brandy the person. So then they totally rule out, oh, no, not Moesha. A lot of people do a lot of personal voting. That's kind of like with the Brandy and Monica thing. Everybody's like, oh, no, Monica. When everybody in their good mind knows that Brandy was a far better artist than Monica.
What?
Okay, so absolutely a far better artist.
She was a better artist. She may not be.
Check the numbers.
It's arguable to say she's a better singer.
Right, it's arguable because that's because Brandy is known. Yeah, Brandy's known as, the Voice Junior, especially as she's getting older. Now, when Brandy was Monica's age, Monica had a better voice than Brandy. As Brandy has grown into her voice, let's have that conversation now. Let's see them live now. I've seen Brandy tear a house down with her vocals. I ain't never seen the stuff that I've seen Brandy with over the past 5 years. I've seen her tear down houses where she got people like Dionne Warwick, Celine Dion, all of these people. When they talk about vocalists, all of them are naming Brandy. Ain't nobody naming Monica. And the artist part, Brandy had more hits. She had more. She sold more records. She had more hits. Right? Monica had some hits, but she didn't have as many hits as Brandy. And Brandy had more number ones. Monica had a couple. Now Monica's no bum. Right. You know what I'm saying? She's no bum, but she was not a good artist as Brandy. But a lot of people did not like Brandy's personality. And I believe
but the
that
show
affected.
Moesha was a good show, though. It was a
right.
good
The
show.
show Moesha was a good show, and she was a great character. She powered. She's one of the few. She's one of the few characters, other than, she's one of the few characters where the rest of the cast was really irrelevant. You could have put anybody in those cast, and that show still would have been good. And there's not a lot of shows like that where she is like the focal point of every single show. And if you can, if you look at, you probably can go like that with Urkel, probably.
No, not really. He became the focal point. but not even Urkel, because really him and Carl was still a very big prominent character in that show.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
So
and a lot of they were a family.
Even furthers my point. So, but if you take Brandy off of Moesha, nobody's watching that show. Like,
she was the focal point.
Her boyfriends were interchangeable. Her friends were interchangeable, and improving because 3 of them died. I mean, I think 1 or 2 died while they were filming, while the show was still in existence. And then I think Hakeem died after the show was off. But her friends were interchangeable. Her boyfriends were interchangeable. It didn't matter what boyfriend she had. The show was still doing. It was so a highly rated show, and she also had the pillows, the dolls. She had those things. So her and Whitley is tough. That's tough. Only because I might lean towards Moesha only because, but of course the votes are going to decide that, because I did still have Whitley and her for that 4th slot, and the votes say Whitley, so it's going to probably still be Whitley.
Yeah, but they have Whitley. The votes say that Whitley's on there.
Yeah, if I had a vote, I would probably put Moesha in there, but I won't argue with Whitley either. And on top of that, she ended up with the 2nd most votes.
She had
out of everybody.
Second most, yeah.
So she's in. But I just think Moesha, the only reason why I bring that up is because I believe that Brandy's personally hindered a lot of her votes. Because people, even though you tell them to separate, they can't. People
they can't. They just see her and they see Brandy, so they're like, "Oh."
I mean, me personally, I never had an issue with Brandy. I might have had more issue with the show. I thought the show was okay, but
because you're not really a person that's in their feelings. As far as these people that are in their feelings, you'll hear them. I seen stuff like when I said when I was talking about the verses of Brandy and Monica. Oh, Brandy! I can't stand Brandy. She should have been in jail for killing that person. That has nothing to do with the. See, that's the point I'm talking about. I gave up on her. I gave up on her when she should have been in jail for hitting that person. Like,
well, not for nothing. I mean, if I was going to take Brandy Norwood, not Brandy the artist, Brandy Norwood, she should have been, and she should have been in jail when her boyfriend smacked the hell out of somebody in Disney Park because he was taking a picture of his kid.
Right, but but that don't have nothing to do with Moesha the character.
No, it doesn't.
That's my point. That's my point.
No, it doesn't. I saw Moesha. I thought Moesha was an okay show, and I'm gonna even give Brandy or Moesha the benefit of the doubt. If Moesha was on a bigger network like a ABC or ABC, CBS, and NBC, and not the UPN, maybe it would have been looked a little more seriously. Maybe it really would. But because it was on the UPN, and that goes for all the shows that were on UPN, all the black shows, 101.
The game was on UPN at one point.
Yes, all those black shows that were on UPN, if they were on a different network, especially nowadays, or as Westwood keeps saying, if they were on streaming, we will be talking about Brandy and all those shows. Moesha in a whole different light, because they would have had that back, and they wouldn't have kept being interrupted or shuttled from. On 1 week it's on a Tuesday, then the next week it's been pushed back to Friday. It just would have been consistent. And you know what I'm saying? So
the game ended up on 2 different networks.
Then on BET.
On 3 networks.
That's 3.
With the BET, right? Yeah.
That's once it was the BET, it was over.
Yeah,
but
once
I'm just saying,
it was done. Right? But
that's the one thing.
If it had been on NBC or something like that, where it was constant and because it certainly had the viewership, right? We all knew about it, but it didn't have that crossover appeal. And I think the only reason why Moesha
crossover appeal.
I think the only reason why Moesha even got a crossover appeal, because if Brandy Norwood wasn't making music to cross promote with Moesha, it would have been right.
It probably would not have. The thing about I don't want to get too much off topic, but the thing about the game that ended up turning me off was I was really into the game the first couple of seasons when it was powered behind, I don't know whether I was T or Tamara, whichever one it was, and I get them mixed up.
I think it's
and her boyfriend, what was her boyfriend's name in the show?
Ding Dong.
The one that kept going in and out, Devon, Darren,
yeah,
whatever his name is. But then the thing about the game is I never knew, once it started changing, I never knew what season it was in. I'm like, didn't they show this episode like 4 weeks in a row? It was like, it became a time where it was like, what season are they in? Or they were playing on one station and they were in one season. Then they were playing on another station. They were in another season. I'm like, what is going on with this show?
Now you can watch it on Netflix. People can go and binge it on Netflix if they like.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. You were getting confused, and not for nothing. The same way with Girlfriends. I mean, it was on. The next thing it's on another network, and you're like, wait a minute, how we get to here? What the hell happened to Tony Childs?
Right.
And then not for nothing, it just got, which was the horrible thing. It just got canceled. So we're all
the final show. Right.
We have no idea what happened to at least the game. You know what happened to everybody, all the main characters from the game. Even when they brought new characters in. The older characters.
What I didn't like that. I like the whole thing with the players and following the players' careers, and then the guy got divorced and him and the white girl split up, and then that's when I didn't like it. I like them two together as a couple. Was Derwin's the guy's name, but them two together as a couple, I think, powered a lot of the show. They were the comedy on the show. And another thing about the game is I didn't know whether the game was a drama, a comedy. Like they would like laugh like once or twice during this. I'm like, is this a comedy? Is this a drama? Is this a dramedy? It's like you hear like one or two chuckles during an hour show, and I'm like, okay, is this supposed to be a comedic show? Or is it like a dramedy?
I never got into the game. It never really appealed to me, and it felt like a soap opera to me. That's why
it was, but I think
it was kind of like
the last couple of seasons when they yanked out from shooting in front of a live audience, when now is relying on the laugh track, it takes away something like it's not funny, but you hear laughter. Like no.
But what that would saying, I think Whitley, because of her where she is in the voting, I'm probably going to go with Florida Evans, even though Ralph makes me think when he says, when Florida went off and got married and wasn't on the show still kept going. And even though she would call on the phone and stuff like that, but can you be on Mount Rushmore if you're no longer on the show and the show is still where it was? That's the only thing. But she is a timeless character. Everybody's still saying damn, damn, damn. I don't see nobody saying nothing from Florence Johnson.
well, that's the case. You could say the same thing for Aunt Esther. We still saying you better watch it, sucker. But who references her?
But damn, everyone says that. That's a meme. Like I don't see no watch it sucker memes. But damn.
That was in the black exploitation movies. Watch it, sucker.
Well,
so
I think
close. I'm just gonna stay with I'm gonna stay with Florida Evans, Florence Johnson, Claire Huxtable, and Whitley Gilbert. That's gonna be mine.
That's kind of like
voting on that.
That's kind of like what I'm kind of ended up with too, because I had that last one that I didn't finish, and Whitley, I think I have to put her on because everybody voted. They got her number 2.
Yeah, and got her number 2. So
I gotta put Whitley on.
And I'm shocked. And again, I also believe that Tisha Campbell's recent shenanigans, I think, caused her votes. Because recently, once she came out and was saying, oh, how about a reboot? All I seen people killing her on social media. Oh, I thought you said this man raped you. Now you want a reboot? You know what I mean? So you was lying the whole time. I can't stand Tisha Campbell. That cost her a lot of fame because she was
that cost
very
a lot
popular.
of votes because she was very popular. Gina from Martin, and that cost her.
Popular.
They put Pam ahead of her.
Yeah.
They were like, yo, I
mean,
know
her
Pam got
style,
the better butt, but the bottom line is her character. Gina's character was
the way Gina dressed, like her soft fashion, her hairstyles, the red lipstick. Girls started rocking that.
Oh yeah.
You know I mean,
she set trends on that show.
She set a trend.
She set trends on that show.
And she would always have the skirt suits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She wasn't just dressed like a hoochie. She was out working a job, coming up dressed. You know what I mean? They all even admitted on with Baby Boy. They even admitted that that's what they patterned Taraji's character after. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? She worked in the office. She was dressed up. When she came. So I believe her recent antics.
She got some votes. She lost votes because of that, and that's what people take to. They don't do it the right way. That's why I keep emphasizing it's the characters. It's the characters. That's just like Cliff Huxtable. Did he get the votes? Yeah, he did get the votes when we did it. He got the votes. I thought people were gonna. I thought he was gonna lose votes because people were gonna,
And frankly,
talking about Bill Cosby.
With Tisha Campbell, I mean, from what her and Marlon said, is that they have aired out that difference from back in the 90s. Come on, it's 2020, people. It's 30. It's almost 30 something years.
But you got to remember something. That still leaves a bad taste in people's house because she ruined the show. Yeah. That pretty much ended Martin.
No.
Yes, it did.
No, Martin Lawrence ruined the show, not Tisha Campbell. Martin Lawrence's ego ruined the show, and he ruined Def Comedy Jam. Tisha
Campbell stopped. Remember, there was a whole season without her. Right,
she left the show before it was even over.
That's right.
And the ratings for that season was in the toilet. That was one of the main reasons why they canceled the show, because the ratings went in the toilet. Yes, his ego was big, but his ratings, when his ego got big, once his show became number one. His show became number one when Gina was there. And that came out of her own mouth. And Cole's. He said his ego started getting too big because of what was happening, what have you. But that lawsuit against Fox, and against Martin Lawrence. That ruined the show.
I'm sorry, I can't blame. If Tisha Campbell was telling the truth, which it appears that she was, that Martin was whatever he was to her, then no, you'd be stupid to sit there and keep working on the show.
But you're missing the point. That's what killed the show. That's still what killed
I'm just saying. That's what killed the show, and that left a bad taste in people's mouth. And then for her to now come back and be like, "Oh, I guess it was all good." Wait a minute! I thought he sexually assaulted you. No apologies should be able to get over that. Could Martin apologize?
Now that part there, I do agree with that one. If you're going to sit and say that's like sitting and saying
that was what the lawsuit was about.
Yeah, that's like the girl sitting and saying like Weinstein raped me, but now 20 years later, we all good now. No, we're never going to.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And that was what people were talking about, Ralph. That's my point. People were saying, wait a minute, you said he raped you, but the story going around Hollywood was she was fucking Martin, but she didn't want to admit it because of Dwayne Martin. That was the real tea. So and now when she comes back and when Martin starts getting serious, because remember Martin was also married. Mm-hmm. Them two, the story goes that them two were having an affair. Martin was married. She was engaged to Dwayne Martin. Then when Martin started really catching feelings, that's when she had to pull out. And because she was getting ready to marry Dwayne Martin. And then she invited Dwayne Martin to the set one day. Martin flipped on her, kicked Dwayne Martin off set. Said he cannot be on set. And then in between that time with the love scenes, that's when she said he started shoving his tongue in her mouth during scenes, what have you.
Yeah, I think it's a lot. It's a lot to it. And that, like you said, the point is because of what, not saying that when I say she ruined the show, it doesn't mean that she shouldn't have reported what she felt.
Right, I'm not saying she didn't have a right to.
She has a right to report, but the bottom line is the show got killed because of that. So,
even if we sit there and say that, that's not her fault. That's if Martin Lawrence didn't do anything to her, then she wouldn't have quit the show that way.
Right? No.
It's a result of Martin.
But I don't think that they had a problem with it. If that was going to be the story she stuck to, they didn't drag her because she did that. Right. They dragged her because now you want to reboot, but you want to reboot now. Well, what's changed? If he sexually assaulted you in the 90s, he should have still have sexually assaulted you right now. So what has changed? You know what I'm saying? That's the point. That's why people dragged her.
But now in hindsight, let's not really forget that even though she left the show, she did come back to show to film the last couple episodes where the two of the characters were not together. Because she is in the last, I think, 4 or 5 episodes,
which was terrible, which didn't work out. They weren't even in scenes together.
Right, they weren't in scenes together. She refused to film with him.
Married, wasn't it? When they supposed to be married?
They're supposed to be married.
She refused. That whole, if you go back, if you want to go to Wikipedia or whatever.
Yeah, she refused to work with him.
When those ratings hit the toilet, is with that whole season. They brought in Brother Man, and they was trying to do all this stuff to try to compensate for her not being there. And it wasn't working. Then they tried to start focusing more on Tommy and Pam. And they're just not, Tommy and Pam just wasn't interested. Cole,
his dumbass girl.
Cole and Big Mama, Big Cheryl, whatever it is. That shit was not interesting.
It wasn't. People watched that show because they fell in love.
They loved with
the
Martin,
Martin and Gina.
Their character. So my point is, people didn't even drag her for that. People were saying, a lot of people were on Gina's side at first, because Martin was going. They were like, he probably was doing that. Wasn't he in the running down the freeway talking about they're trying to kill me, waving a gun? He probably was doing that. You know what I mean? But then when you come back talking about when
we ain't made up.
When me and Dwayne got divorced, Martin is the first person I called. What? Wait a minute. Martin's the first person you called.
And then that's a whole
when everybody started turning.
Because now it started making you think, wait, did was she actually tell the truth? Yeah, did it even happen? Did you call him? That's the first person you called.
And then what did Martin say when people came back to it? He said, well, I mean, it don't really make a difference because it never happened. He just said that in 2020.
Yeah.
He basically said she was lying. He said, well, there was nothing to apologize for because it never happened.
Right.
So if it never happened, you ruined the show for nothing. That's the point.
Yeah, okay. I'll go with that one. I'll go with that.
Right,
because
that's the point.
It puts serious doubts onto your story.
Right.
I'm sorry. If like I just said, if you said Martin Lawrence raped you, he raped you in 1995. I don't think you got there. How many years go by? You're not gonna say, "Oh, we all good." No, we're not.
Right,
we're not.
Why are you all good? Because you're running low on money now.
Yeah.
Because you got divorced and you talking about you might be homeless. You know, Will Smith and them had to buy your crib. You know what I mean? So
my wife and kids residuals started shrinking up, and
right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why you want to reboot.
And it's funny you brought up my wife and kids. Think about that. She actually had reinvented herself and became a whole nother character in my wife and kids. And guess
and people forgot about Gina.
And the first person she called was Martin.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Not
so
Damon
you didn't
Wayans.
call Damon Wayans, you didn't call Damon Wayans who put you on that show.
Himself.
Right. It resurrected your career.
You called the man
Martin, the man who
almost ruined your marriage before you even got married. Because Dwayne Martin almost called the wedding off behind that. So you called Martin?
Yeah.
That's when people start saying, "Oh, okay." So maybe Martin was. So maybe the truth that we were hearing about she was messing with Martin, maybe that was the truth.
Maybe it was. So I think this might be a good segue to setting up our next Mount Rushmore. Should we do the Mount Rushmore of couples? Sitcom couples.
Maybe we should go on to some white folks.
We do some white folks, right? Let's do characters. Let's go.
Rob is like, no, maybe not.
Because we did black sitcom. No, we did black sitcom characters. So let's do white sitcom characters.
That's gonna be tough.
That's gonna be a tough one.
I've been already researching this one, and it is extreme. It is going to be extremely hard.
Difficult
at least for the white male.
But I'm gonna tell you one thing. Definitely. I have one grandfather on white male, Archie Bunker. Has to be.
Yeah,
he has to be.
I got Jackie Gleason. Like he has to be archived. But that's also the problem because if you're going to sit there and say Jackie Gleason, Carol O'Connor, Ted Danson,
Ralph Cramden,
well, that's Jackie Gleason.
But I mean, you got to think about the characters, though.
Yeah, we got to see about the characters. And Ralph Cramden is like what 1960s. So even though it resonates with people. Hell, it resonates with me. I wasn't even born when the honeymoon started, but I've seen every single freaking episode. I know every single episode by heart, and I can tell you within the first 10 seconds of that episode coming on what episode it is. I guarantee you, from the first 10 seconds when that episode comes on, from the first 10 seconds, I will be able to tell you what episode it is. So that's how much I've watched The Honeymooners. So Ralph Cramden, man, it's tough.
Carol
Archie Bunker.
That's what I was just saying.
Archie Bunker.
If you
Archie Bunker has to be in there.
Yeah, Archie Bunker was very political, very during the time of segregation was over, but it tackled racism and he's.
But
I think
like I was saying, but that's just the thing. Like me and we're talking about this, and we said even if you just keep it at Jackie, Ralph Cramden, Archie Bunker, Gilligan, and you also said
Gilligan's another one.
Right. and Henry and Fonzie. Then
Fonzie's in. Fonzie's in. Yeah, Fonzie's in. This dude, everybody was. He had toys. He's in.
He's definitely in.
He's definitely
his grandfather. Then,
if you're gonna have a Mount Rushmore, right? Yeah. What about everybody else from that point on? What about?
I'm sorry, we can't change it. We can't change Mount Rushmore.
Wait a minute. So do you just ignore Sam Malone? Do you ignore Al Bundy?
Put him on Mount Rushmore.
Do you just ignore Al Bundy?
Al Bundy.
He might be another one.
Hell,
I'm gonna make the list. They're gonna be the list. This is gonna be a tough one.
You need to make that list tonight. Let people start voting from tonight.
I'm gonna make the list tonight. Tripper?
Jack Tripper.
That's my guy.
Like I said, did you ignore Jack Tripper? Hell,
that's my guy.
Wait a minute.
He's my favorite.
We may not even get to vote. It may all be grandfathered in.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I think if you're gonna have a Mount Rushmore, it's got to span the course of television.
We
You can't just
can't.
do all one time period.
Do you
So
want
then,
to do
if it's more than the course of television, then you have to say Ralph
the Mount
Cramden for the
Rushmore for the
early
20th
ones.
century, the Mount Rushmore for the 21st century? Going to do that? I mean,
well, in the
I meant.
Well, in the 21st century, I can't really think of anybody that's
no 20th century. 20th century is what, the 2000s?
No,
the 20th century is 19. Yeah, 2000s is part of the 21st century.
So yeah, well, 21st is gonna isn't that gonna be Al Bundy?
That's just Sheldon. That's it. No, Al Bundy is in the 90s.
He's in the 90s.
You know,
he's
the
part of the
2000s would really just be, then the 21st century would be Sheldon, right? Frasier, Sam Malone, all those guys, Al Bundy, they're all in the 90s and 80s, and then go further back. Like I said, Alex P. Keaton, Harry from Night Court. Not Harry, Dan Fielding from Night Court. All them guys, you just can't wipe them out. Forget about it.
You got it up. They're gonna be on the list, but we gotta have to see if people voting. It's what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. You gotta go with. We'll put all these guys on the list.
How many great people came after the last person on the Mount Rushmore? They didn't get on.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, you got a point. Well, you got a point with that one, but then they started giving them
Washington,
monument.
Ben Franklin, who else? Abe Lincoln.
Mm-hmm. But then they started giving them monuments. Lincoln, Lincoln Center.
Yeah, but they give a monument, but that's Mount Rushmore. So we know that Mount Rushmore is going to be tough. I mean, we're going to make the list.
It's going to be tough, but that's why we're going to have voting. We need to take Twitter voting, Facebook voting, Instagram voting. We need to add them all up.
My two grandfather in is.
I'm only going to take one now. I'm only going to take Fonzie.
Fonzie has to be.
I'm going to take Fonzie.
Fonzie,
but Archie
just to be fair,
that's about as close to grandfather as you can get.
And I'm with you, Ralph, on Ralph Cramden. I'm with you on that. But just to be fair, I'm only going with Fonzie because Fonzie he became a pop
He was a
icon.
Transcending character. He was a
he became a pop icon.
Here's the thing with that one is that without Ralph Cramden, you don't have Fonzie. Without him, you don't have him. Right, Ralph Cramden, you could literally say he's the originator of the sitcom. So, if anybody, how would you say? Well,
no, I can agree with that. I can go with Ralph Cramden.
No, I agree with that. But if that's the case, you're going to say you don't have none of those sitcoms. But my point is, Fonzie is transcending. Like he's transcending. People would be in this dude for Halloween.
Shit, what about
I don't never remember nobody being Ralph Cramden. Yeah, but I mean,
they would, but they would dress up him as the spaceman. They'd be the spaceman, instead of the bus driver character, they'd be the spaceman. But I understand where you're coming from. I really do.
I mean, Fonzie had that.
Above, Henry Winkler is above. He's bigger than Henry Winkler is bigger than Fonzie is bigger than Henry Winkler.
He is bigger than Henry. He's the character. I mean, shit. They got the whole. They made a whole saying about him. Jump the shark. That's a saying now. When people say, "Oh, he jumped the shark on that one," that's a saying, meaning like that was just ridiculous. That was, you went overboard with that one. That was ridiculous because that scene with Fonzie where he literally jumps the shark.
Say, hey,
he jumps the shark while he was surfing or whatever. So
that guy too cool. That guy was too cool.
He was too cool.
That guy was too cool.
Yeah. He was the epitome.
He was the cool. Yeah. He got all the girls. He was a tough guy. Like he was like the original lover, but was a tough guy.
Yeah. Like, he had to put money into the jukebox. Just tap it.
He just tapped it. He had to put money in the jukebox. He snapped his fingers.
Hit the wall. The lights come on and off.
He was that's an iconic character. Fonzie is every man wanted to be Fonzie. Wanted to be as cool as Fonzie.
You know what I would know with that one about that. I would start saying, okay, let's say I wanted to put Fonzie in it. I gotta think about everything Henry Winkler has done since then. Like when you see him, do you only see Fonzie?
Pretty much.
Because everything. I mean, it's like when I saw him in Night Moves, and he's not. I'm just seeing Fonzie. Like I'm seeing Fonzie before he.
Lords of the Flatbush. Was it Lords of the Flatbush? No, what was that?
Yeah,
movie?
he's in that. But I mean, that's
yeah,
kind
he's
of
in
like
that.
that's kind of like Fonzie. But when you see him in Night Moves with Michael Keaton, he's not Fonzie at all.
Night Shift. Night Shift. That was a great movie. That was a very underrated movie too.
Funny
that movie
too.
was funny.
It was
That's one of my favorite movies, and very underrated.
Right, but when you see him, I'm still looking at. That's still Fonzie. Like I'm not seeing. Like when I see Harrison Ford,
right. Well, that's like Urkel.
Yeah,
that's like Urkel. Like when you see them, no matter what they do to try to take themselves away from that character, you're always gonna see Urkel. No matter. You can have your glasses on, you can have your glasses off. It's not gonna matter to me. And if you play another character, that's like to me, Sherman Hemsley is always gonna be George Jefferson. He was George Jefferson in Love at First Bite. He was George Jefferson in Amen. He's going to always be George Jefferson. No matter what, he's coming out the cab, like you said, doing the
George Jefferson.
When he's dancing, he's doing the George Jefferson. So,
yeah, that was George. That was George Jefferson. Yeah, and when you saw him in Love at First Bite, you're like, look at George Jefferson. That's the first thing you say.
Right.
He was you know. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna do the list, and we'll get that popping, and we'll go from there. So to
all right,
wrap
I'm getting
it up.
out of here.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later. Thanks for joining us.
I do have a subject to bring up. A friend of mine's called me this morning, and I'm sure he watched my boy Rich, or he'll watch the show later. And it was something that we were talking about a couple weeks ago. He said maybe you want to bring it up to everybody. What actually makes a cult movie? Because we were talking about movies that could be remade, and we mentioned Action Jackson said, well, we think that's like a cult movie. But
it became like a cult movie.
Right, but what's the criteria for a movie to become a cult movie? And when he asked me, I really didn't have an answer for him. I don't really know. I had to, we could bring it up as a top discussion, because I mean, a lot of times you see movies like I think most people say like the Rocky Horror Picture Show is a cult movie. Is it because it lasted so much longer than what it was intended to?
I think a cult movie like in the shortest form is just basically a film that may not have done what was expected in the theaters, or didn't do anything, wasn't as popular in the theaters until it didn't become popular till later. Like people just like like we said films that like Action Jackson. Yeah, I mean, the movie was out in the theaters and whatever, but it's basically like a film that's appreciated later after its time. That's where a cult movie is. So it's like a film that's appreciated later, didn't get the appreciation that it probably deserved, or that it gets now until after the fact. So that's what happened. Heathers is a perfect example.
I mean,
Heathers is a cult
him and I were talking
movie.
this morning. We said like Roadhouse. I think Roadhouse goes in that category.
Roadhouse, because everyone was thinking Dirty Dancing. Everybody Patrick Swayze, all they thought about was Dirty Dancing. Roadhouse slipped slipped a little bit under the radar, and it became this cult.
But I was looking at something today, like a lot of people consider. I don't. A lot of people consider the movie Showgirls a cult classic. I don't know what they were thinking when they said that.
Another definition of the reason why it's called a cult classic is because it has a dedicated fan base. You see what I'm saying? That's just like, so like we said, it has a dedicated fan base, that just always was going to keep talking about it and watching it and rewatching it and stuff like that. That's how a film becomes, a cult classic. You know what I'm saying? Now, there's some films that were still successful and still a cult film, like Back to the Future. Right. It was successful, but it's still a cult film because you got people, you got groups naming themselves the flux capacitors, and like you got a whole, just like Star Wars obviously is a cult film because even though it's successful, but that's a cult franchise really. But a cult film doesn't necessarily mean it wasn't successful, but it's appreciated and followed so much. That's what happens. And usually what to me it's more of a thing when it's a film that wasn't successful, but later on people start to appreciate it and they're like, oh.
So could we throw The Breakfast Club in there as a cult movie? I would say yes.
Most definitely.
Certainly.
Most definitely.
Because I
As a
think,
matter of fact, a lot of those
the
John
team,
Hughes movies became that cult.
But I think that one more than anyone, because I think without
that one, yeah.
without the Breakfast Club, you don't get Say Anything or Heathers or any of that stuff because it all kinds of fit kind of together. Much more.
I think St. Elmo's Fire is like that too, because St. Elmo's Fire didn't get good reviews. You know what I mean? Like it did.
Breakfast Club. It came right after Breakfast Club.
Right. Did not get reviews. And but it became a cult because that's what launched the Brat Pack. You know what I'm saying? Because they did that article, the cover of the magazine, and they interviewed all of them, had them on the cover of the magazine and called them the Brat Pack. Obviously a play off of the Rat Pack. You know what I mean? So they called them the Brat Pack. In this one article, and the name stuck. And from that point on, they all branched off and all became pretty successful actors in their own right too. You know what I'm saying?
All of them did. I think.
Yes, I said they're pretty much all of them. Yeah. They all became successful.
Even the
actors.
other ones
Demi Moore probably became the biggest as far as acting in films. She acted in a lot of big films, but you still have Emilio Estevez that was very successful. Judd Nelson was successful. You have Rob Lowe. She wasn't. Well, I mean, yeah, they included them in the Brat Pack because they put that over a certain amount of movies. That's really why they called them the Brat Pack, because it was like how the Rat Pack would always be in movies together. You know what I'm saying? It was like that. It's like, oh, you see all these, you see like the same group of people in a movie, throughout a span of different movies. So they call them the Brat Pack. But St. Elmo's Fire is another one, because St. Elmo's Fire, like I said, it didn't get good reviews. Like people were like, nah, we're not liking this. Yeah.
But when you look back at it now, like, damn, it was pretty. I mean, I thought it was okay when I first saw it.
Yeah, Breakfast Club to me is the best of all of them, other than Ferris Bueller is probably the best John Hughes film.
But Breakfast Club is a straight up drama.
Yeah,
Ferris Bueller is a comedy, clearly through.
Exactly.
And no sequel to. I don't ever want to see a sequel to Ferris Bueller. I never want to see a sequel to Ferris Bueller. Never. I don't want to see it remade. Don't. The closest sequel we got to Ferris Bueller was the Volkswagen commercial a couple of years ago. I was good with that.
That was great too. That was
awesome.
beautiful. That was beautiful. Yeah.
That was awesome. But no, I don't ever want to see a sequel to that. Don't ever do it. Please respect John Hughes. Respect the movies that he made. I don't want to see a sequel to Breakfast Club.
So St. Elmo's Fire came out in June of '85, and Breakfast Club came out that was also in '85. Breakfast Club came out in February of '85. Yeah. They were right behind each other. Wow.
Right behind. And I think when St. Elmo's Fire came out, that was right. I remember going when my uncle took me to the movies in Virginia, first time in Virginia. I remember St. Elmo's Fire being there, but there was the other movie called Back to the Future that you just was like, you need to go see Back to the Future.
Yeah,
and Silverado. That's another cult movie. If y'all never seen Silverado, find Silverado. That's a damn good movie.
And here's something funny. I'm almost positive the St. Elmo's Fire was shot before the Breakfast Club. Like I think they went into production before the Breakfast Club, because I thought I remember seeing Judd Nelson talking about he worked on St. Elmo's Fire before he worked on the Breakfast Club. Obviously it was the same year, but it was a little bit before they went into production. Emilio Estevez also in that film. So that's why they were just like, oh, the Brat Pack. Yeah, that's a cult film. So I think the criteria is just really simply that it's a film that becomes, has this huge following, almost like a cult. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, and not only they just, it's a following because, every year, they celebrate it or they'll do something, some sort of, thing, some sort of celebration about it or, that type of deal. That's what makes it a cult film. That's a good question though, but I think that's what makes it a cult film.
I think that's what I thought, but I was just like, I'm not 100% sure if I'm right with that one.
Yeah.
Because
it has, like a subculture under it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because when you said it, I certainly said the Rocky Horror Picture Show is clearly, but then I started thinking about I looked online and it was like I saw Repo Man, I saw Showgirls, I saw
not Showgirls. I wouldn't say show.
No.
I haven't seen anything that would tell me that Showgirls was a cult film.
Well, because then they turned it like into a sing along or like even Grease. I saw Grease as a cult film because they turned into a sing along, then it became a play, and all these other entities that was.
Well, Grease was
I
think it was a play first. Yeah, it was a play first.
Then it became a movie. Then it went back to being a play. So
the Grease thing became a cult because Grease 2, which did nothing in the theaters, is a beloved film. It's a cult film,
but it's garbage.
It's a cult film. People love it.
Yeah,
people love the film. And and the fact of the matter is, it's just the culture of it because it still brings the culture of what went on in Greece. Mm-hmm. The pink ladies, there's a whole site. I was looking it up one night. There's a whole site dedicated to breaks down all of the what's it take to be a pink lady, the rules of the pink ladies, this, that, and the other. All that stuff is on the site, and they talk about who's actually a pink lady, who's not a pink. Why, like for instance, they talk about in the second one, Stephanie Zanoni, who played by Michelle Pfeiffer, she wanted to leave she didn't want to leave the pink lady. She didn't want to date the T-Birds anymore. Mm-hmm. But they clearly pointed out to her in the movie, and it's pointed out on the other side. She's like, well, there's a code. Yeah. The code says we belong to the T-Birds, at least till graduation. That's what she said. So it's like, and then there's one scene that I thought was probably one of the funniest, not funniest, but scenes in the movie is when she's saying to him, okay, I don't want to deal with you no more. We done. We're over. And he's just like, oh, it's like that. She's like, yeah, it's like that. He's like, okay, well, you know what? That jacket you're wearing is T-Bird property. You want to lead a party? Drop the jacket on your way at the door, on your way out. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. So in that shit, and in the very next scene, she's in like the hallway and it's crowded and she's getting bumped all over the place. I said, see, already the effect of not having the pink lady jacket. Yeah. She getting bumped around in the hallway.
Your shield is gone.
Your shield is gone. No more respect.
Your shield is gone.
No more respect, man. Nobody, they looking at you weird. People talk about you. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's a cult though, like that whole thing. So that's where it all falls, where it all falls. That's a good question though. But I mean, if you're gonna tell me that maybe it's something I didn't know, if you're gonna tell me that they got things going on in honor of Showgirls every year or something like that,
I thought I saw this and I got this, but I think there's actually some type of Showgirl convention around the movie that goes on in Las Vegas.
Wow.
I was like, you gotta be. I mean, hell, like my Little Pony got a whole thing. A convention about My Little Pony. A guy told me about this, and I looked at him like, "You gotta be kidding!" He's like, "No, it's a big thing. I never heard of it, but it's out there.
It's a big thing. My Little Pony.
I'm not to judge people.
I'm looking up something right here. Right, they actually have something like this. This is on Wiki. So they said there's different types of cult films. One type is quote unquote so bad it's good. Right, that's probably like where Grease 2 would fall, right? So then you got camp and guilty pleasures. That's another type. Then you have like they what do they have examples or no? They don't really have examples. Yeah, like Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. That's an example of that type of cult. Then you have nostalgia cult film. Okay. Street nostalgia. Yeah, they're like films such as Streets of Fire.
Good movie.
Yeah, it was a good movie. You know, and nostalgia is like the John Hughes films. You know, that falls under the nostalgia factor because people think about when they were back in school or when they was trying to cut school or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that all falls under that category. Then they have something called midnight movies. I'm not sure what that means.
That'd be Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, well, kind of like Rocky Horror. They said midnight movies, reaction against the political or cultural conservative in America. So they said here, large audiences were drawn to box office flops such as Donnie Darko, The Warriors.
Yeah, The Warriors.
Yeah, I would say that's a cult. Office Space. These are cult films, right? Then you have the art and exploitation, right? Let's see, exploitation. Yeah, art and exploitation. What are they giving as an example for that? Okay. They said here, American exploitation and art films shared audiences and marketing, especially New York City's grindhouse cinemas. So those type of films. Yeah, it has a lot of exploitation, a lot of sex, and shit like that. So those would be like the black exploitation films and stuff like that.
Planet Terror. Did y'all ever see Grind? I think I'm one of the few people that saw Grindhouse originally. That was both movies back to back.
Yeah,
man,
in the theater. Yeah, I'm a Tarantino fan, so I had to go see that. So then they got B and genre films. B films, genre films. Right? That's another category. These are all different categories of what can be called. So they have here examples. Films like Galaxy Quest highlight the importance of cult followings and fandom in science fiction. And the authentic martial arts skills in Hong Kong action films. Hong Kong action films can drive them because of their cult favorites. They said here cult musicals can range in the tradition of such as Singing in the Rain, Rocky Horror Picture, like that. They said more non-traditional such as Crybaby. And then they got romantic fairy tales such as The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's all falls under B and genre films. Then of course you have animation, animation cult films like Heavy Metal, yep. Akira, Ghost in the Shell,
Fritz the Cat.
Right, stuff like that. Fritz the Cat, exactly. So Heavy Metal, like we said. So that's one. Oh yeah, that was the other one, Coonskin. I remember.
Who?
There was one called Coonskin. And I remember that. That was like almost like a blaxploitation animation film. Wild film.
Never heard of that one.
Yeah, that's a wild one. So then you have nonfiction, which they have as an example, Mystery Science Theater. They broadcast satirical shows like Mystery Science Theater. Let's see what else they have.
Would Mystery, since you said that, would Mystery Men be considered a cult movie? I mean, maybe. I kind of liked it, but it certainly, when it came out, nobody really understood it.
But Buckaroo
Banzai. Yeah, I say definitely Buckaroo Banzai. I think that's a cult.
They also have which just probably falls under so bad it's good. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. See that's a cult film.
crap.
You know what I'm saying? Right. But that's a cult film. That's what they say. Stuff like that. And then remember that other film. I forgot the name of it. The one that that James Franco made a film about. Remember, it was that one film that was like so bad. Everyone wanted to see it. You know what else falls under that? Sharknado. That falls under that category. So bad, it's good. It has to be something. They made so many sequels to it, so they had to have made money from it.
Yeah,
they kept making sequels. Sharknado, that's another cult film. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's a difference between cult films and cult classics. You know what I'm saying? Like cult classics would be Back to the Future. You know what I'm saying? It's a cult classic.
Roadhouse,
yeah.
I still swear I'm gonna start doing. I'm gonna start kicking like Roadhouse.
Yeah, that's what you got to do it. Ralph, James wants to know, did you see Justice League?
Yes, I saw Justice League. Yes, I enjoyed it. I don't know why we keep getting on Justice League. Now, I'm gonna tell you something. In this last week, I have been looking at streaming services. I did go back and look at Justice League. I saw this really good documentary on Mr. Spock called I think it's called For the Love of Spock.
Spock. It's on. Yeah.
I saw.
Didn't his son produce that?
His son did it, right? Yeah. I saw this other one which almost brought me to tears. It's called The Last Blockbuster, about Blockbuster Video, and it reminded me when my second job. I think I told you before. My second job,
Blockbuster.
But my second job, I worked in a video store in East Orange, New Jersey. It was called Video Takeout. And right up the street from us, we had a Blockbuster. At the time, it was called Palmer's, and then it got sold to Blockbuster. But we put that one out of business. Then they moved the Blockbuster basically right across the street from us, and we outlasted them. I can't sit there and tell you guys how we did it, but we outlasted Blockbuster. I know some things that we did that Blockbuster at the time didn't do.
I worked at Blockbuster. I remember.
But at that time,
I only worked there for like 2 weeks because I got tired of that shit.
Blockbuster. I always wanted to work for Blockbuster, and Blockbuster was like, nope. So
I worked there for like 2 weeks, and I was like, yo, after 2 weeks of standing on my feet all day, putting tapes back and straightening up after watching stupid kids running by, knocking things off the shelves. I got to go back and straighten all this stuff. I was like, yo, this sucks. I don't want to be here. And I quit. I worked for like 2 weeks. I got like one check, maybe two. I think I got paid weekly. Yeah, I was like, yo,
that's enough.
I said, let me get this check to take me to the next job.
But I used to love working in video stores because I used to see movies. I saw movies every single day, and I was able to recommend stuff to people. I remember we had this movie came in called The Unbearable Lightness of Being, which is a really boring movie, but it's all about sexual fulfillment. And guys used to say, Ralph, no, you got anything new that I've seen? And I said, take this movie. They're like, how do you know? I said, let me tell you something. I told people, I said, if this movie don't get you laid tonight, tell me tomorrow and I'll refund you your money. I ain't never refunded anybody money for seeing The Unbearable Lightness of Being. So fellas, people, you got streaming services. Find The Unbearable Lightness of Being, and with your girl, forget that's the real Netflix and chill. The Unbearable Lightness.
That's the real Netflix and chill. Well, I'll tell you this. I there was that was one job, that I was like, I don't watch all the movies I want. I didn't even make it that long, bro. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go back to renting the movies. I know. I can't work here.
I know one of the things with Blockbuster, which in my store we didn't have the problem, is that we could put on any movie we wanted, except pornography. We couldn't put pornography, but we could. I think Blockbuster, you could only put on stuff that was PG or G.
Yeah, or maybe that they were gonna show. Yeah,
right. But R-rated stuff, you could never do that. But we did. We put on R-rated movies because a few things that we did, like our store was the first store to actually begin renting video games. We began renting the Nintendo games. We were the first store in East Orange, New Jersey.
That was one of the reasons why I wanted to work at Blockbuster too, renting the video games.
Renting games.
I was like Sega. I was always a PS, Sony, PlayStation, but even before that, I was into like Genesis, Sega Genesis.
But that Nintendo was the thing. We were, I mean, that
Nintendo
we
games,
people used to come in and say, no, we talking about getting a home theater system. We used to go around, actually went to people's homes to set up their home theater system for them because no one knew how to do it. We knew how to do it. No, we even at one point we even had a service where if you couldn't bring the movies back, we would go to the manager that I wasn't in there. He would go to your house and get the movies for you and bring them back. So there was a few things we did, but that's what we had to do to compete against Blockbuster. Because like the movie said, like if we got in, let's say Back to the Future, we might, because of the price that it was $80 to buy a movie. That's wholesale, not even retail. But you buy a couple of copies and the price goes down. But we may be able to get 4, 5, 6 maximum. Blockbuster gonna come here with 200 movies and tell you it's their guaranteed. Anytime you come here, it will be here.
You're gonna have it,
compete with that.
Especially when it was a big movie that came out on video, they would have so many of them. But
we could never compete with that one unless it was something that was a sell. Like when Batman came out, we could get 20 copies because it was $17.96. It's funny, I still remember these prices. It was $17.96 to get it if you got one, and the more you got, the price started coming down. So we can get 25 copies of that one, but we knew we got $24 is not hard to make back quickly because if it's $24, you rent it for $3 a night. 9 rentals, you got your money back, and everything else is profit, right?
Everything else is profit, but yeah, it's that whole thing is crazy.
But now I want to take a trip out to the last Blockbuster in Oregon.
The last Blockbuster, it's still out there. He holding it out there. Well, I'm glad you saw the Justice League finally finished.
Yes, I saw Justice League. I've been watching. Like today, I was off today, so I was looking on Netflix and I was looking at the documentary stuff because they got this really good Quincy Jones documentary I wanted to see. But I saw the thing about the toys, so I sat here and watched how toys, the one about
toys that made
Wars,
us.
Toys that made us. I saw the one about Star Wars and I saw the one about wrestling. Those two. I was like, wow.
Now when you finish that series, you got to jump to the movies that made us.
The movies
same producers. They got one called The Movies That Made Us. And that one that they got, it covers Ghostbusters, it covers Die Hard, it covers Home Alone, and Dirty Dancing.
I might be more interested in that Dirty Dancing one. Because
they all had great stories because they talked about with Dirty Dancing. And in all of those films I just mentioned to you almost didn't get made.
Yeah.
All 4 of them almost did not get made. Dirty Dancing was put out by
the biggest long shot. That was probably the biggest long shot.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters I saw getting made, but I know originally it was supposed to be made for Jim Belushi. And then once he died, it got turned into I think that's how Bill Murray got into it. Because he died and they
wrote the part for Eddie Murphy too. They wrote a part for Eddie Murphy in there originally.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
they wanted because Dan Aykroyd and they wrote Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
So and then directed it, but Dan Aykroyd, he said he originally had Belushi in mind and he had Eddie Murphy in there too.
That would have been something.
Yeah, they had Eddie Murphy in there.
I want to see this. I'm gonna watch that, but if the producers of that show are watching it, I'd like for you guys to do a movie that made us do one on the Lost Boys. I wouldn't mind. I would like to see that one. I wouldn't even mind seeing one.
Another cult film, The Lost Boys.
I wouldn't mind seeing one on the making of the Breakfast Club because the casting alone. How you got the right mix of people from that generational pool that was around.
I was surprised. I was surprised at the Home Alone one because, by that time John Hughes was pretty known, writer and
probably because it was a kid.
That.
The kid,
maybe because that's what it was. They didn't want to take a chance. They're like a kid holding this whole story. They're like, they was not feeling that.
This ain't
they wasn't. They was not feeling that, yo. And it was just so. And like when they went, they had Joe Pesci. Then they didn't have Joe Pesci. Then they brought him back. And then the other guy who was with Joe Pesci, what was the other guy's name?
Daniel Stern.
Yeah, they had someone. They had started filming with someone completely different, and then they end up bringing Daniel Stern in. It's like, yo, it's crazy how that film went through 2 production. It switched studios. No film does that. It actually got dropped from one studio and picked up by another studio to finish it. It was great.
And you know why that happened? Because back then the executives weren't latte drinking, yoga pants wearing, ankle tattoo having people. They wanted to push the envelope and take some chances. We need a little bit more of that today. Take some risk.
They took chances with Home Alone because the guy if I remember correctly, I think it was something about John Hughes. Because John Hughes didn't direct Home Alone, but he wrote it.
No, that's the guy that actually wound up doing the first 2 Harry Potter movies, Chris Columbus. He did
Columbus, yep. But yeah, I believe they had said something about like it was some weird chain of events that ended up them switching to who did they end up switching to? Warner Brothers, or was they at Warner Brothers? I think they was at Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers dropped it. Huh? Yeah, I think it was at Warner Brothers, and then it ended up going with Fox or something like that. Yeah, I think it was. I remember saying something.
Unless it was something that
run up again.
I wouldn't doubt it. Unless it was something that said directed by a starring Clint Eastwood, they said no, pass.
Yeah, they just like right. So yeah, you got to check that out. The movies that made us. It's the same people that do the toys that made us. And you said you watched, which one did you watch? Star Wars and what else?
Today I watched Star Wars, and I also watched about the wrestling dolls. The
wrestling dolls. Now I'll tell you another one that I saw on that one that was really good. G.I. Joe was almost heartbreaking. It's almost heartbreaking because of the way he got jerked. The guy who actually created G.I. Joe got jerked. So that one was good. Transformers was good.
I want to see the Lego one.
And I'm gonna tell you one that's funny. It may sound weird coming out there, but I'm gonna tell you what was very interesting.
Barbie.
Yeah. The Barbie one was very interesting.
I would like to see it. I've always been curious. Who did they base the original Barbie doll on? I thought I heard it was based on Marilyn Monroe. That's what I thought I heard years ago.
I don't remember them saying who it was, but I think they do mention that. But yeah, I mean, and with the movies that made us, like I said, Home Alone, Ghostbusters, all of those, you're like, wow, all these films and Dirty Dancing. Oh my God. Like
I knew about Die Hard. I knew Die Hard.
Die Hard. Yeah, that one was tough.
Because no actor wanted to take it, and Bruce Willis was the last name on the list.
He was the last name on the list, and they didn't even want him.
No,
they were like, "This guy's not a movie. He's not a movie star. He's on television."
That's David.
They were like back then. Yeah, back then they dish you if you was on television.
Exactly.
Like, he's not a movie star. He's television. And they're like, oh, and then they heard about the problems that him and Sybil Shepherd was having while filming the show.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh man, this guy ain't gonna be able to do it.
And he held out for that $5 million because he leveraged his worth against him. He probably wouldn't have got paid $5 million, but he was like, I want $5 million. And since nobody else wanted to do it and they wanted to make it, he's like, we'll do it. And best decision ever, Fox.
Best decision they ever made. And that was, like I said, they said, what did they say? They were like, we had no idea. Like when they first, he said, I think they said something like, when he first came on the screen, people were like laughing at him, and they were like, you're not supposed to be laughing at this point in the movie. And then, but he said, but at the end of the movie,
they cheered
in the theater. They standing ovation. They standing ovation. They were like, yo. And they were like, yes, a star is born after this film.
I remember that
now.
slogan. I remember that slogan very vividly because when they used to do the weekend sneak previews and they said Die Hard will blow you out the back of the theater. And I was like, wow. And I saw it. I was like, God. And then it needed, then I thought it was in, I said, I need like another 5 minutes. They gave me my other 5 minutes of Die Hard.
Yes.
Now I can go home. Now I can go home.
So before we wrap the show up, I'm just coming back briefly to, like I was saying to you early before we took our guest on.
Yes.
I'll come back to that. Now, my point is this, all right, that I'm trying to make about this with the right now, okay. I have not witnessed anybody that, and I'm trying to not be unfair here, but I'm just saying right now, there's nobody that with the caliber of Chadwick to step into the role right now. And the point I'm always trying to make is this all the time. People are reading too much into him not being, they're not reading the actual quotes that the man is saying. He said, quote, "We will not be casting T'Challa for Black Panther 2. Recasting." Then he also said, "And we will not be using CGI for Chadwick." Right? They plan on what people are forgetting, and I understand because, technically, other than watching a good film, you don't have a dog in this fight. But they do. All right? They plan to honor Chadwick in a way that or whatever way they're going to do it. But honoring him does not include recasting his character for this movie. And the reason why I'm saying, the reason why I said that people are just jumping out the window for no reason, because if you did not hear that man say that he's never recasting T'Challa, we're moving forward from that character. We're never going to recast that character. He's never said that, and I guarantee you, he will never say that, because that's stupid for him to say that. He's putting himself in a box. I mean, And then another thing. Here's my other point. Chadwick Boseman just died last year. It's really like less than a year, then they have to get things started with the film and all that stuff. They already started pre-production. They're building sets in Atlanta right now, and they're planning on starting to shoot. So to recast now, to me, would be a mistake. You have to either push the film back, and even with that being said, let's go back other prominent characters, superhero characters. Look at the time frames. Even the Batman characters, all of those movies were at least 2 years apart. Every single one of them, when they switched Batmans, was at least 2 years apart. Why are we rushing a year, not even, a year after this man passes? We're rushing to recast a role where even if you take the Batman movies from Michael Keaton to Val Kilmer to George Clooney, all at least 2 years in between. Then look how long it took for them to recast Superman. Decades, right? Christopher Reeves. Because why? One thing, from one reason, because everyone, even when they were casting him for TV shows, everyone's compared to Christopher Reeve. Even to this day, Henry Cavill. Even to this day. You can go on YouTube and people doing the deep fake where they put the faces on it. They're doing Christopher Reeve's deep fake on Man of Steel. Christopher Reeve's deep fake on Superman Returns, which really looks good because Brandon Routh did look like him. He's kind of looked like him. So the deep fake really fits really nice on that one. But my point is this. All of these other characters that we're talking about, the prominent characters we talk about recasting, the only time Marvel did that, even when you think about it, even the Hulk film, the next time you saw the Hulk, it was several years later, and they recast him. Several years later, you saw him in Incredible Hulk. Then several years later, you get the Avengers. They recast. The only time they didn't do that was with Rhodey, probably. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause they from Iron Man 1 to Iron Man 2. That was also probably about 2 years apart because, that was about 2 years apart as well. So my point is, why do we have to take this guy, our guy, the black guy, and just rush somebody into the role? Can we take a beat? Can we take a breath? Let's look for the character. Let's look for the actor that's going to embody this character. Because they don't want to admit it now, but everybody that's complaining about it right now are going to be the first ones complaining when they rush and put a guy there and he doesn't do the job that you wanted. Then they're going to be saying, oh, he ain't no Chadwick. Oh, why'd you get this guy? Oh, well, because y'all were sitting here doing up petitions, talk about recast T'Challa. So, and like I said, another point I wanted to bring up is the people that are strictly complaining about it or want it recasted because they don't want the Shuri storyline, because they don't want the whole girl power thing or whatever. They're over it. Men are. There's a lot of men, in my opinion, insecure men, because what the hell? You just get a good story. But they're like, oh yeah, this is just another, then I got people who actually saying this is just another ploy to, to emasculate the black man, take the black male characters, strong male characters, and discontinue them, take them out and replace them with female characters. And I'm like, yo, dude, you're reaching right now. You're reaching, dude. It's there. What they're doing is a natural progression. We have characters that we already know, characters that we already love. All of them are coming back because we need that. Why do we need it? Because we're mourning Chadwick Boseman too. We need to see all of our characters that we love, the actors that played them. We need that. What we don't need, no matter, I don't care what people say, what we don't need is for you to, and what that role doesn't need for you to just jam somebody new into, like, this is some soap opera or some shit. The role of T'Challa is now being played by, you know what I'm saying? No, this is not a soap opera where you're switching people out and it's just like, you just accept it. The role of T'Challa is now being played by, what's that guy name from Bridgerton or whatever? Like, well, you're just going to throw people. And then when I ask people, well, give me somebody, they can't. You know what I'm saying? And it's probably, I'm sure there's someone out there. But you got to find them. You got to groom them. You got to let it rock. And hey, maybe John David Washington will get it. I don't know. But he ain't ready for it now. It wouldn't be fair to him either. Because he will not do the job that Chadwick Boseman did. He may do a good job. He may do a decent job. But to me, I have to see more of him to really see how good of an actor he supposedly is. I haven't seen enough of him to determine that yet. I like him, but I haven't seen enough of him to determine that he's just really good actor.
Well, I'm going to sit there and I mean, you could throw that on Chadwick Boseman. I mean, honestly, the time when he became Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman didn't have a whole lot of acting credits behind him either. No,
it doesn't matter. I didn't say a lot, but he had really good acting credits.
So does John David Washington. He does have good acting.
No, not just credits though. Characters.
Well, certainly
he had really good characters. That Chadwick Boseman portrayed real people.
Yeah, he did. But John David
destroyed it.
I mean, not for nothing. It's what I think 4 years on Ballers, right? Mm-hmm. He has done Tenet, and right. The other movie I saw the other day.
When I say I didn't see enough of him, right? When I say I didn't see enough of him, I'm not saying about his actual credits. He has 13 actor credits. Okay, great. All right, under his belt, and I'm just saying, as far as his characters, the difference in the characters and stuff like that, the character he played. Okay, Ballers was a show, right? Then you got Black Klansman.
Oh yeah, Black Klansman.
Right, Black Klansman, which it wasn't overly impressive. The character he played in that, it wasn't overly impressive. He's doing this voice, this so-called redneck voice, which to me was just almost came across campy to me the way he did it, because it was almost like a tongue-in-cheek. And it was just, to me, that was part of the joke, that they fell for it, even with him doing the voice like that. But that was him portraying a real person, an actual person, right? So then you have his character on Ballers. You got Tenet, which really, that's the film. It's not him. It's not the character. It's the film. And then you got Malcolm and Marie, which was, you got a chance to see. That was to me, that was probably the first time that you really got a chance to see him dig in with his acting, because it was limited, one location, stuff like that. So, that tests you as an actor, right? You're not relying on the bells and whistles like in Tenet, or you're not relying on the good co-star like in Black Klansman. You know what I'm saying? So, so that, to me, that's the one. If that's all I'm judging him on, but does that mean he's going to step into the role of T'Challa and really kill it? Maybe he can.
Maybe I would say it. You have to sit there and say with a caveat, maybe, and then you can't say yes and you can't say no. I
can't say yes.
You really just gotta say maybe.
If they rushed and threw him in there now, I think that would be suicide. I don't think that would be right. It wouldn't be right. It wouldn't be right to him.
Right. But as I was saying earlier, and this is a lot of things we disagree on, but I keep saying you guys look at this thing from your perspective because you're the comic book fan. You're the one.
But
that
I'm not
knows.
looking at it from a comic book
Wait,
fan.
Ralph,
I'm looking at it from a filmmaker perspective.
Okay, then
what makes sense? What makes sense?
I now when we first started, I said that I can't think of any character that has ever been the actor or actress playing the person has died. Right? Mm-hmm. They did another sequel where the character wasn't there, and then all of a sudden brought him back. Because see, if you said Harris, like in Indiana Jones, right? The idea was to bring Sean Connery back for the Crystal Skull, but he died. They gave an acknowledgement to him. But if you do the Crystal Skull without Sean Connery, and then you do the next Indiana Jones, and all of a sudden his father comes back, and it's not Sean Connery. It's like, wait a minute, because most people sit there and say when you say that the character's died and we're not recasting him, you're thinking for however many more movies you make, that character is not coming back.
But then you're not listening and you're not reading. That's not what he said.
He
said we're not recasting. You shouldn't think that. You should think what you read. He said we're not recasting him for Black Panther 2.
Hold it, Wes. But you still keep missing what I'm saying. The average person, when they hear that, they would think the same thing. If this person that plays character has died, you're going to keep making the movies, but you're not. And then when he said we're not going to recast T'Challa in Black Panther 2, the average Joe would sit there and think that means in their brain, going forward, any other movies made, you're never going to recast that person. So I said to you earlier, I can't think of any character that has actually died when he did this. The only person that no, Crow doesn't count because the Crow doesn't count because that movie was done, right? And
he died and he couldn't come back,
right? But
they continued,
right? But they did when they brought the character, the person playing the Crow back. It was not the same character that's in the first Crow. It's another person being a Crow. And all these sequential sequels, it's been another person. They didn't bring back the character that Brandon Lee played.
Okay.
That's a different story. And so I was looking this up while we was and frankly, we're never going to see Brian O'Connor in the Fast and Furious series again. He has passed away. You're not going to do another Fast and Furious sequel You may have it where you may have a picture or you have one of them talking on the phone and they say that it's Brian, but you're not going to have someone playing Brian O'Connor on the screen again. They kind of sort of got away the last one because the film was almost done and his brother looks very similar to him. But they didn't. They had him like.
But we're also talking about a superhero character, right? So let's just say, remember Christopher Reeves didn't die, but he got paralyzed.
Yes, he did. And what did he do?
They could never, and it took them forever to recast him, but they could never, but the same character has been recast. Because it's a superhero. So it's
but nobody ever said when Christopher Reeve got injured and he was paralyzed, we are going to proceed with Superman.
No, they never said it. No.
They never said that. The average Joe with certain movies, we know that person eventually is going to get replaced. Like we expect James Bond to be replaced. We would expect but now we're kind of sort of expecting that when they redo the X-Men, that all those Batman, all these characters will be replaced. It's a different thing when you're talking about someone being injured but they can't do it or deaf.
Yeah. Or deaf.
And then once you make that statement, so you said, well, they're already doing production. So I looked this up today while we was on with the producers. The only person that even come close to this particular scenario is Aaliyah. She was cast to be in The Matrix Reloaded. They were already filming it when she died.
Yeah,
but they recasted her while the film was going on.
Nona Gay, yeah.
Right. But in that defense, her character she would have played would have been a small character. It's not like that was Keanu Reeves, And then they say, well, we're going to do the next Matrix, and we're not going to recast Neo for the second Matrix. So you make another Matrix movie where it's someone else, and then number 3, you bring back Keanu Reeves, you bring back the character of Neo, and it's somebody different. That's what I'm talking about. You're not going to do that.
Well, because to your point, Ralph, I agree with you. Yeah, maybe the average person may think that. That's why I'm doing this show in the first place. I'm here to tell you that is not what Kevin Feige said. He said he's not recasting him in this film. Now, we all know if you're a fan of Marvel, you don't have to be a fan of the comic. If you're a fan of the MCU, you know that they just introduced multiverse and time travel and stuff like that. The possibilities are endless. You don't think that it doesn't even occur to you or even rationalize, well, maybe he just means he's not doing this film like what he actually said. And they're doing it. They have their reasons, right? For the same reasons, at least for this film, they want to find a way to honor. Because think about it. Look what happened with Fast and the Furious. Even though Paul Walker died, they still found a way to honor him and keep his character in the film. And then they wrote him out.
But even with that one, that's still.
I'm just saying that was their way of honoring him, right?
But no, you can't even say that. You can't even say that because Fast and Furious, for all intents and purposes, was close to completion.
But it wasn't completed.
It was close enough. They shut down.
Close counts and horseshoes and hand grenades.
If you have a 3-month-long shooting period and you shot 2 months, 28 days, and one of your members died, the movie, in its purpose, is almost, at least shooting is done. You got 2 days and maybe some pickup. It's not like you have a 3-month shooting period and your actor dies 3 months before you.
What I'm saying is this. They could have went another direction with that. They could have used a stunt double and had his character die in a car crash. You understand what I'm saying? What I'm saying is, in their way, they found a way to honor him and let it go, right? And then they wrote the character out, and I agree with you. They're not going to bring the character back as someone else playing him. Get it? But the reason why, Kevin Feige and the team of Black Panther are not going to recast T'Challa is a couple of reasons. Like I said, to cast someone right now right behind Chadwick Boseman, and that person does it for you to rush and do it, and that person gets in there and they don't do the job that we hope that they do. You're setting yourself up for disaster. When you could take a character that's already established, already loved, because everyone loved the different characters, and now evolve that character, change the character's arc, and yes, for the people who knows about the story in the comics, still fulfill source material. I always bark on source material, and get a good story that involves these characters. That is the smarter thing to do than to recast T'Challa right now. That's why they're doing it. And whatever they end up doing, there's thoughts of there's rumors of Killmonger coming back, which I don't think they should do that, but there's rumors of that. And yes, if he comes back, obviously he isn't going to be T'Challa. He's going to be Killmonger. But my point, the reason why I'm having this show, I'm trying to tell people, it is not them not recasting him right now doesn't mean forever, because if they meant forever, they would have said forever. He had the opportunity to say that. He just said, we are not recasting Chadwick for this movie. And we're not going to do CGI. That's all he's answering. That's all he's saying. People jumping, and for people to jump out the window and go for this petition to recast T'Challa, when the release date for this film is July of 2022. They have to start shooting if they're going to get this film done. So what do? Now you're going to rush after he's already made the decision that they're not going to do it. Let's just say they listen to the petition. They're going to rush and cast somebody as T'Challa. You ain't trying to mess yourself up, man.
Well, not for nothing. I mean, theoretically speaking, it can get pushed back because, from my understanding, it was supposed to shoot in Atlanta. Now they're still shooting in Atlanta. They're still shooting. But if that decision had came down from Disney saying we're not shooting there because of whatever reason, then they would have had no choice to push it back, which would have gave them the time to theoretically find someone else, because
that's still not enough time. If it depends on you, they'd have to push it back like an entire year to get that kind of time. Because, but they probably would. To go through a whole new casting process to find.
But if they would have had to take it out of, if they would have to take it out of Georgia, they probably would have had to push it back a year, because then you got to find someplace else to shoot it. Get the
but you said theoretically. That's not theoretically. That's hypothetically. That's hypothetically speaking.
All right. Well, hypothetically speaking.
That's hypothetically speaking. But as we know right now, for the facts.
It's going to start shoot. It's going to start shooting in Georgia.
Start shooting. Yeah, right. They're already in pre-production. They're already building sets. They're gonna keep it in Georgia. Ryan Coogler did do an interview about that. He was talking about the importance of keeping it in Georgia, but still, advocating for the people and helping and this, that, and the other. Like we said last show, I said probably the people that decide to stay in Georgia, they're going to try to find ways to help the people through these situations and give money to help the people through these situations, because let's be clear. It's just too much money you leaving on the table. You're getting a lot of money to shoot in Atlanta or shoot in Georgia. 10%. You saw AJ brought it up. 10% extra just for using the Georgia Peach logo in the credits. That's not including the other incentives that you get for shooting there, tax breaks. Mm-hmm. So, and the fact that they've already started production,
and all the money that you actually putting into the whatever city they're shooting in. I mean, you guys are not coming there for a day and leaving. Y'all sitting there for a minute. You're gonna put tons of cash into the surrounding cities. I mean, people still got to go to get mouthwash, shoes, buy cloth to make stuff. So that could be millions of dollars put into the local economies that you're not just going to sneeze away. You're going to hotel rooms alone. It's
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. So, and just like and Kev, he joined us on the chat room and he said nothing said that they won't recast the role of T'Challa. Right. Exactly. He said Black Panther can be recast, of course, and I'm gonna go as far as to say Black Panther will be recast. He's just not being recast right now, but they got more plans for Black Panther's franchise.
Wait.
It doesn't stop at
I think that needs to be that actually needs to be changed because what you just said. If they're saying that they're not going to recast T'Challa right now, there's not T'Challa and the Black Panther are two separate things. Anybody could be Black Panther. I mean, frankly,
that's true.
It does not have to be T'Challa.
The Black Panther itself isn't T'Challa, exactly. And there was another character that was the Black Panther for a while. I forget his name.
Because I mean, in the movie,
character that was Black Panther for a while, but in a short while.
But in the movie, when Killmonger takes over, even though his name is Killmonger, technically wasn't he the Black Panther?
Yeah, he was Black Panther.
He
the Black Panther is just that's what I'm saying. The Black Panther is just the protector of Wakanda. But here's the deal. And during the Shuri storyline, T'Challa, after he comes out of his coma and all that other stuff, he still he remains king. He returns to the throne, but he keeps Shuri as Black Panther because he tells her, "I want you." He's handling more other stuff, diplomatic things, and plus, at that point, he gets married to Storm, and he lets Shuri continue to be Black Panther, protector. So, which to me, once again, there's too much story. That's the reason why I think they're going to recast T'Challa, because there's too much really good storyline that involves T'Challa. Doesn't mean that he has to be Black Panther at the moment, because, like I said, there was simultaneously Shuri was Black Panther and T'Challa was just T'Challa. He was the king.
Remember, Bruce Wayne doesn't have to be Batman. He doesn't. No,
not in Batman Beyond.
Exactly. Now Clark Kent has got to be Superman. That one you can't get around. But Bruce Wayne does not have to be Batman.
Doesn't have to be Batman. And that's what it. And then we'll find out in Flashpoint. If they do the storyline from Flashpoint Paradox, Bruce Wayne was not Batman in that iteration. It was Thomas Wayne who became Batman. So,
and speaking of that, I wanted to bring this up. The thing with Robert Pattinson. You know what, Robert Pattinson? I really sat back and thought about what you're thinking, and to a degree, I think he's right. It's not. You shouldn't have more than one person playing any character at the same time. You shouldn't. Now,
when they have a multiverse, that's how they're going with it. I guess.
But wait, I'm about to say. If you're doing this as a one shot, you're going to do this multiverse and you're going to bring back everybody that ever played Batman in this movie. Okay. But if you're talking about that, you're going to do that, but then you're going to keep developing for future Batman stories where you're going to have Pattinson playing Batman. You're going to have Affleck playing an older Batman or Keaton playing old Batman. Yeah. No, you don't. It's confusing. Wow. First, it's confusing. Second of all,
no, it's not. They're playing two different eras of Batman. Confusing?
It is. It's confusing. I don't need to see three separate Batman stories going on at the same time continuously. Two, from a money standpoint, you're taking away millions of dollars from the different franchises when it should be plunked into one, right? And three, people wait their entire lives when they're after to get that one plum role that they can say is my franchise. And you're just gonna say, "Hey, basically, fuck it. We don't care what. It ain't about you. It's about us trying to sap every single dollar."
I ain't got no sympathy for him because he obviously, if maybe he acted like a bi through this movie and was difficult to the director and got the nerve to complain. Now,
I'm not even talking about specifically Robert Pattinson. I'm saying any character.
Right, you're talking about his whole. Right, you're talking about the whole situation. But
Right.
But here's the deal, though. Here's the deal with that, though. They've done that in TV shows. So this is not nothing. No, this is not nothing new to DC.
Wait a
Not
minute.
nothing new.
Time out. I gotta
The
stop right there.
multiverse is not a new thing.
Wait. I gotta stop right there. Tell me any TV show that has ever been on where you had one character being played by multiple people at the same time.
Like I said, they're doing the multiverse in television. So, The Flash.
But even though The Flash, that if I'm not mistaken, that was for a particular thing. Tell me the time of the person playing the Flash.
Because it's setting up the multiverse.
Right. But tell me any film, any television series where you had a character that had two shows going on at the same time, played by two separate people.
Mm-hmm.
You can't.
I don't know. So, but what does that mean? Just because I can't? I mean, so what? So they're the first time that they're doing it.
No, because you're taking money away from the overall project. I can sit there and say this. Yeah, there was one time when that happened. 1983. There was two James Bond movies that came out at the same time. It was Octopussy and Never Say Never Again. Right?
Yeah.
Both of them did about $65 to $70 million. But together, if there was just one James Bond movie, it would have made over $100 million. That's the difference. So you gave Sean Connery his swan song.
That's not Ralph. That is a speculation. That is not a fact.
No, that ain't no. That's the fact.
No, it's not a fact because it didn't happen.
Hold it. You are splitting the audience. So a lot of times they don't even like your franchise that had two movies come out in the same calendar year. They'll go for every other year, but that's what happened with The Matrix. They put The Matrix out. They put the first one in May.
No one said that these movies was going to be out in the same year. They just said they're going to have. They just said that they're going to have a multiverse. So it's almost probably certain that the movies aren't going to be out at the same year. You're talking about in the same time, meaning the same period of time, but they're still going to be through a course of years. Because obviously the Batman movie is done. So that movie's coming out. The Ben Affleck movie hasn't even been confirmed yet. So yeah, he's appearing as Batman in Flashpoint, which makes sense because of the tone of Flashpoint. And he already said, I believe Affleck said that's it. I don't think he's going to come back.
But that's what I'm talking about. If you're going to do something like that, where you say, okay, we're doing this, and only because you're doing this thing called the multiverse. So we're going to do a movie where we're going to have Patterson, but we're also going to, for the sake of this discussion right here, we're also going to bring in as Batman from different time periods, Keaton, Clooney, Bale, and Affleck. Okay,
all right.
I'm cool. I'm cool. Wait. I'm cool with that. But you say, okay, this is what we're going to have Patterson play Batman. Then we're going to do this multiverse thing. But then once the multiverse thing, we're going to continue having Patterson play Batman. But then we're going to develop another whole series of films with Affleck as Batman. Now you got two separate franchises going of the same character. That you shouldn't do. You would in essence you would begin to dilute your product. Mm-hmm. And listen, and I know what you're saying. Well, Ralph, why don't you say the same thing when they had when Keaton was playing, not Keaton, Keaton was playing Batman, but you had Batman the animated series. That's an entirely different thing. That's an animated project. But you didn't have two Batman the animated series films going on at the same time. You didn't do that. There has except that James Bond movie.
They did it with the animated movies. They had different. But that's just different actors playing the same character.
Exactly. That's different actors. Beyond animated doesn't but even with that one, if you had Toy Story, right, you're not going to start developing a different Toy Story with anybody beyond Tom Hanks as Woody. You're not going to develop that because you have the Toy Story. Why would you develop another whole series? Say, we're going to get someone else to play Woody and do a whole nother series while the original series is still going on.
Well,
that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make. I get what you're saying. All I'm saying is the reason why they're talking about doing it is the whole. They're not trying to go with the multiverse as a one-shot thing. They want to go with the multiverse as a thing, meaning so they're able to develop movies that takes place in one dimension, if you will, and movies that takes place in another dimension. Because
Earth
Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth.
Well, if that was you, wouldn't you think that your role would be a hell of a lot diminished? Because now you don't have the honor saying I'm Batman. No, you're not, because there's 16 other dudes playing Batman at the same time. There's nothing special about your role anymore. Because now it's been any old Joe Blow. We could just put a cape on saying, well, that's Batman, or we could have 16 James Bonds run around because whatever. It diminishes your role, and then.
I mean, you like I said, you got a lot of good points to what you're saying, and I'm not really disagreeing with you. I just don't care as far as he goes, because what the hell are you complaining about? Your ass didn't even do the right thing when you got the role. You ain't got no right to complain. Yes, it does have something to do with it.
No,
you ain't got no right to complain.
That's got right to complain. That's got nothing to do with it, because there's a whole bunch of actors that have a whole bunch of movies.
Batman again, depending on how. Because if Reeves is the one who's leading this charge going forward, he doesn't want to work with him no more. But it's going to be something that's forced on him if they work with him.
But even with that one, it ain't about Jane. It ain't about Robert Pattinson. It just happens to be happening to Robert Pattinson. I'm saying with any actor, you don't.
No, I'm just talking about him. He's the one who's complained about it. Right. That's what this conversation started.
Because there have been a whole bunch of movies that have gone down in history where the actor involved in the movie or actors didn't want to be in the movie but just did it, and it did problems. That doesn't necessarily mean that when the Batman come out, we may sit and say, "Yo, damn, it was totally different. It's better than the Dark Knight." I'm saying it's an if. It's an if. We don't know that until we actually see it. So I'm not concerned that Robert Pattinson. I doubt it. But who knows?
Oh, you don't know. But you're right. We don't know unless we see it.
Right. I'm not concerned that Robert Pattinson is the person that's saying this, but I am concerned with what Robert Pattinson is saying.
Right.
He's absolutely right. I
got you.
That's
it makes sense. It makes sense what you're saying. But we'll see what they do. Yeah. It's Warner Brothers.
I know. You lie,
to see what you do.
Actually, I'm gonna say
I do remember that, but here's the deal, though. I thought I remember. We got to get back to it because we got it in the show. But I thought I remember seeing something about Sony trying to do some nonsense like that with the Spider-Man character.
Mm-hmm. The same thing.
They're trying to do that same thing where they're gonna do their own little Spider-Man movies with their actor and not Tom Holland.
Yeah.
Which that's gonna end up being the same situation. But now that they're introducing a multiverse, which what they're doing in this new Spider-Man film, depending on how good this film does, that might actually push them forward to do it. Because if this film is a hit, a major hit, it may push them forward with their plans to try to do that and expand the multiverse and doing films under the multiverse. It's very possible, but we'll see. But I don't want Sony in charge of it.
I don't even think that's a good idea neither. And I'm gonna say this for Sony, and I'm gonna say more for Sony, because if you guys really want to explore your multiverse, you've already done it with Spider-Man into the animated. You've done it. If you want to do that,
yeah, but they didn't. That's two different. Once again, animation don't count. This is live action.
Hey,
you got to show her live action.
That Spider-Man film is more acclaimed. It's more acclaimed. The only film that's more acclaimed than that is Spider-Man 2.
It was still a good film. That's not what. But the point is, like I said, you could say the same thing with the animated films that the DC films do. Everyone's keeps saying that those films are better than the live action films. They're like, the people who write those films should be writing the live action films.
But even all those are sequels. They're all sequels. They're not. I mean, you're not gonna go into Walmart on Tuesday and see 16 brand new Batman the animated series films. You're not going to see that. They will be considered as sequels. Now, you want to do sequels? I'm all for that one. That's fine. But you're not going to run two at the same time. You dilute your product.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, like I said, Sony's thinking about doing it too. Hopefully they don't, but we'll see how they do it. But anyhow, that's the end of the show. We wrap this up. I'm going to set the list up tonight, or I'll send it out by tomorrow. And we will go from there with the list of the white sitcoms, males characters, with the Fonz grandfathered in. But I'm gonna put the list out there. If you have any people, send me ideas for the list who you think should be on the list. The voting list.
Hang on until we go off. I got a bunch of names.
Yeah,
I got a bunch of names. When we go off, I'll tell you.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna end the show there. Thank you everybody for joining us. Of course, Joseph, always, James, Jimmy Ace, Kev, we saw you, brother. Thanks for joining us. Get back on here. And let's see what else. Whoever else was I saw Shaw Millions up in there. She was there earlier.
Thank you to everybody that chatted. I want to give a shout out to my ex. Today is the day that she actually passed away 5 years ago.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Always be remembered.
Oh man, continue to rest in peace. This also Prince passed away too.
Yeah, right? Prince. Also Prince's day. I don't have a picture of Prince because I never met the guy.
But this is the day that Prince passed. Yeah.
You can't go wrong by either putting on the disc or watching Purple Rain today. Respect the Purple Rain.
Respect the Purple Rain. Respect the Prince, man. He just did it. Yeah. So yes, continue to rest in peace to China. Continue to rest in peace, Prince, and rest in peace, Black Rob.
Yes, man.
That sucked, man.
Oh,
we're just getting over DMX. Not even getting over DMX. Just DMX still in our minds, and then this happens.
If I read correctly, I believe DMX's service is going to be this weekend.
Okay.
There is going to be a public display of DMX, and Sunday is a private funeral.
Okay.
So you can check social media. I believe I saw that today that they announced that his family announced they were going to do something for the public on Saturday, which is probably going to deal with the Rough Riders going through New York.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
And then Sunday,
it's gonna be crazy.
And then Sunday,
they're gonna do the same thing. It's gonna be a repeat of what happened when Biggie got took through Brooklyn.
Yeah,
and they started playing Hypnotize, and they started going nuts. Last but not least, this is just a quick note. I read somewhere, I think I put it in the chat room, or not in the chat room, but in the messenger. So the writer for Bohemian Rhapsody is working on a Whitney Houston biopic. So they're gonna do one that they're taking to the theaters. They're gonna do a Whitney Houston biopic. But here's the deal, though. You shaking your head, but I'm not shaking my head because the biopic they did for her sucked.
Yeah.
So we need a redo on this one. Let's try it again. You know what I'm saying?
But that's why I'm shaking my head. I'm hoping that, and I know
hoping it doesn't suck again.
Well, no, I'm hoping that the people that the guys from Bohemian Rhapsody that's behind Bohemian Rhapsody, you look at that Whitney Houston bio movie and see all the wrong that's in it, and change it to all the rest right.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, if you did Bohemian Rhapsody, get the permission of the Houston estate for the music.
I'm sure they will. If they, that's what I'm thinking. They're gonna have to do.
I do not want to.
Now I know. Big up to Romaine, my boy Romaine. He's part of that family. I know people in the the Houston family, and they're definitely willing to cooperate with a filmmaker as long as the story's told right or whatever. They're willing to cooperate with a filmmaker, but Lifetime just does what they want to do, and they just go ahead and start doing all this unauthorized stuff, and it's just terrible. And I feel bad for Yaya because she actually wasn't bad. Yaya,
and you know something? I wouldn't mind seeing Yaya play her on the big screen.
Again, exactly. That's what I said. I feel bad for her because she wasn't bad. The film, the script,
film was horrible.
That was terrible.
And
she actually was not bad.
And if you're gonna do Whitney Houston, yes, we all know the music, but all the bad stuff about her, you're gonna have to put in it too. Drug use, Robin, the husband, Bobby Brown, all that stuff.
All that's got to be in there. And let's not forget, Bobby Brown just came on the Red Table Talk, and he's talking about a lot of different stuff. And all these years, Bobby Brown, everyone blamed him for introducing Whitney to cocaine, and that was not the case. And it's actually Whitney Houston's brother admitted that he introduced her to cocaine. He admitted that on Oprah.
He was a teenager.
Yeah.
Everybody from East Orange, where I'm from, we know this already. We all know.
Yeah. Y'all already know that he didn't introduce her to cocaine. So, all right, y'all. Let's get off the air. Y'all, thank you. We'll check y'all next week.
Don't be
Wear your mask.
I got my shot yesterday. If
first or second?
First. And I got the McDermott. If I could do it, you could do it. But even with that one, I'm still wearing my mask. Don't be that guy. Wear your mask.
All right, y'all. Peace.